And we're
So
live.
we're just doing this the whole time. Yes, we are live once again. The Lonely Marks coming to you on a Thursday, as usual. Um, as you can see, we are not joined by Jordan Owens. He might pop in. Who knows? He's just got some personal stuff going on. Jordan, if you are watching, thoughts and well wishes with you, sir. But I am joined by Austin and Richie. Austin, how you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you? Just saw Fast X. Well, I was watching a little Ready Rumble before we went live. I even watched some of the Nitro after Slamboree, and I couldn't take it because they just move on to other things. It's just like the pay per view didn't even happen. It's total Russo television. And we'll get into it, but although it's funny. The TV shows surrounding Slamboree are way more Russo-rific and chaotic than the actual pay-per-view we watched was. It's really weird. The actual pay-per-view was like a mediocre pay-per-view with some okay wrestling on it. It was like weird. I don't know, but
there was some Russo-ish stuff in here, but yeah, like, you know,
it wasn't as wacky as like New Blood Rising or something. I was a little disappointed.
Yeah,
yeah. Richie is also here. Richie, how's it going?
Yeah, pretty good, man. Pretty good. I look. I liked watching the pay-per-view. There was like, it's definitely. Oh man, there's definitely. Yeah, we'll get into it. It definitely focusing on one storyline and one storyline only all throughout the
show. So did the shows before it. I'll get into it a little bit.
So that would be interesting. But yes, and Ready to Rumble always a fun time. That movie sucks, but it's also great.
If you can't tell, we are going to be talking about a WCW pay-per-view, Slamboree 2000, because Austin won the predictions, and this is what he chose, and I'm gonna get my shot. I'm gonna get one. There's two pay-per-views next weekend. I have a good chance.
Mm-hmm. Damn it.
But before we get started on that, there's a few bits of news to talk about. We'll kick off with the unfortunate passing of Billy Graham.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really watch much of his wrestling, but it always sucks when someone goes. So I can't really speak on his wrestling, but if you two can, by all means.
Yeah, I mean, I had to go back and watch some stuff, but I can definitely see why he was one of the biggest stars of that era. It's just more for as a wrestler he's good, but like more for his mainly because of his promos and his character work. It was really good. You could see maybe it's very sort of you could see where people get their influence for the promo stuff. He's got very sort of Dusty Rhodes sort of cadence to it, he's a very, very unique dude. I read his book. I can't remember this. I don't usually read much, but I read his autobiography. He's a really, really unique guy. He's just I think a very influential figure who I think a lot of people he is beloved in wrestling, but I do think people forget how much of an impact he made in the wrestling business. And unfortunately, I feel like that's not me trying to make a joke. I feel like he's kind of had ill health and been ready to pass away for the last 20 years. There's like literally the DVD documentary they made, WWE made of Super Game. There's a bit in that documentary where he has set out. He found a burial spot where he wanted to be buried. I think it was near Eddie Guerrero. So I don't know whether he's actually going to be there, but he'd already prepared for. He thought he was going to die soon then. So the fact that he was able to last 20 years is pretty cool. He was a really influential guy, and I can't speak to it like too much about his full-on career. I don't. Maybe Austin can elaborate more, but I do think he's very unique and kind of a big big figure in wrestling, and it will be a big loss.
Yeah, I think it was more of a case of I saw that DVD they put out of him. The thing I think most about Billy Graham is he was kind of a little too ahead of its time because like I don't think people grasped onto him in the 70s as much as they would his personality and his physique and everything and his kind of character overall would have kind of fit better if he had kind of blown up in the 80s instead of the 70s because he started wrestling in the early 70s like 72 and he became WWF champion in like 77 and it's like I think if he had just been born a little later and started his career in like 82, I think he would have fit right in with the like Hulk Hogan's and the Dusty Rhodes and the Ric Flairs, like as far as, these sort of over the top guys. But I think people didn't really know what to think of him in the 70s because a lot of people hadn't really started doing character work yet. And really, there wasn't as much of a focus on like that physical, like muscled up sort of bodybuilder look that, kind of blew up in the 80s with guys like Hogan or whatever. So, I think he was a little almost too ahead of his time to where he could have been a bigger star had he kind of started in the 80s. But by the time he got to the 80s and he came to the WWF, he was already kind of in his 40s, age wise, and wasn't pushed as heavily because of that. So and Hulk Hogan had already kind of taken that spot. So he was definitely an influential dude, but kind of a man out of time for when he started. But there's a reason he was one of the earlier like Hall of Fame inductees in like 2004, right? I remember I had that 2004 induction ceremony on DVD, like put out there. Yeah, he was in one of those original classes, so I think Triple H inducted him, and like yeah, I mean he definitely deserves to be in there because he for sure influenced a lot of guys who were probably watching wrestling around that time who would get bigger like Triple H. But yeah, no, I mean he's definitely a loss for the business, and at least he was a guy that I think he was 79 when he passed. So at least an older wrestler. We're not talking about a wrestler, dying in their 40s or something.
Right.
That's always the first thing, a guy who actually lived a pretty full life for the most part.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. So. They actually even I haven't seen like a wrestling company do like this in a while. But like it was like luckily I had known beforehand, but like during this episode, this week's AEW, I think it was during the Roderick Strong Jericho match. They just went, Scalp was like, oh, by the way, just received breaking news. Unfortunately, Billy Graham passed away. So they even just mentioned on commentary. So like, as it came in, so I was like, oh, God, shit. But yeah, and I think it was actually usually you see things other than broken by the dirt sheets or whatever, but it's actually I think the first person to put the news out there was Ric Flair.
Yeah. Sometimes they contact like people who are friends and family, get word first, and then put it out on Twitter or something like that. So, yeah, I mean, I get that, but I'd imagine they'll have some kind of thing before SmackDown or something tonight, So graphics or whatever. But yeah, no, it always hurts when you lose a wrestler. But like I said, at least it's one of more of old age and natural causes than other things. So
yeah, it is sort of. I mean, it's good that we kind of it's I feel like we saw more of that. The younger ones like a few years ago than we are now, which is good. But I feel like we're still always going to see that. But it is good that like it's not as regular. So it's not much of regularity. But yeah, I mean it's always sad. But yeah, it's like at least he did live a full life. So yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, so Billy Graham passes away at the age of 79. Yeah, and speaking of AEW's got a third show now. I guess fifth if you count Dark and Elevation.
No, I don't.
But a third show on TV.
Well, the Dark and Elevation got canceled. So.
Yeah, they're starting to complete their WCW cycle. Now they have WCW Saturday Night. So now it's completing the cycle because they have Nitro, they have Thunder, and now they have Saturday Night. So it's all coming around. It's right into focus.
It's interesting because the rumor was that they started the show so they could have CM Punk on there and to have they could almost like a drafts. A brand split, so I have all people want to work with CM Punk on there, and then have it separate. But now it's reported that CM Punk has had a falling out with him again. So the whole reason for the show, it's interesting. It's a cluster. So they're gonna have a show, but maybe no CM Punk on the show again because there's I think there's a thing where they that they were going to agree to bring Ace Steel back in the fold, who was a part of the fight, and then maybe Warner Brothers either Warner Brothers or Warner Brothers Discovery or AEW changed their mind, and then that made kind of CM Punk frustrated with them, and now he's not on the marketing material anymore. So yeah, cool. So this is interesting. Again, so now the CM Punk returns to question mark. So it's interesting. I wonder if they're ever going to do it. Maybe they're going to do a third show anyway. But it is quite fun. It is interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like they don't have the people for a third show. So, yeah, it'll be interesting.
They got a big enough roster, but it's like, yeah, is it literally going to be like WCW Saturday Night was, where some of your mid card guys are like the main event, where, you're lucky if you see, I don't know, Crispin, back in the day, it was like, oh, Crispin was in the main event of like Saturday Night, or Ravens in the main event of Saturday Night, like, or whatever, you know what I mean? And then it's all the guys you would normally see on Dark or Elevation, just, doing matches. And are they going to go on tour separately? Like, where are we going to tape these? Are we going to tape these in smaller venues? We're going to try to tape them in larger venues. And now are they still trying to do house shows too? Like, it's a whole weird thing. Yeah. With their,
well, they announced like a Canadian tour for like house show wise in conjunction with that, and I think they're doing some dates with Collision.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, but that brings back the question, like, is if there's like a draft split or whatever, are they going to have like a like WWE, they're going to have like a yearly draft, like draft lottery.
I think they should see if the third show will work before they do a brand split.
Yeah.
So if it works, if it gets the viewers, then yes, absolutely. More TV time isn't a bad thing for anyone. But how many people are going to be watching wrestling on a Saturday night?
Oh yeah, that's the problem as well. I think Rampage is on a bad night as well. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's one of the issues as well. Like, it's like, what's that? Is it usually on Friday night or whatever?
Friday night over here, it's on Friday nights, and then Saturday. It's just, I mean, SmackDown is on Friday night too, but it's like
it's on earlier though.
Yeah, a little earlier. Yeah, and just how many people watch wrestling on Friday and Saturday nights? Unless it's a pay per view, I guess. Unless you're watching, one of WWE's, premium events or whatever. At least nowadays, but I always feel like wrestling always worked better when it was the weekdays. Like back in the day, it was like Monday and Thursday. Like there was nothing else to do that night. At 8 o'clock on prime time, you watch wrestling. And while your parents watch fucking whatever, in the other room, it's like, well, they watch CSI. I don't know. Like you watch wrestling. Like there was a reason for that, but in the era of, that's why they need to get on these streaming services, man. And I'm surprised they didn't really announce anything regarding the streaming service deal, because wasn't that the rumors they were going to announce something to that effect, and I didn't really hear anything, or at least not unless I missed something. But I think it would have been a big deal if they announced like a streaming merger.
That's why it's cool for, like, I mean, I don't know about what it's like in the UK or Canada, but for us in like Australia, I watch Dynamite and Rampage and whatever on like Fight. So and then if I watch it, but it's up there for whenever, so I can just click on it. I don't have to watch it live. I can just watch it whenever. So but it's not the same for you guys. It's like, oh, if I miss the episode, I miss the episode.
Well, if I don't have cable, like right now, that's why I don't watch Dynamite and Rampage, because I don't have a cable subscription. I just have the streaming services. And if it was on Max, HBO Max, whatever you want to call it, like they've been kind of rumoring, if they put it up there, like I said, it doesn't have to be the same night. If they put it up there 2 days later, fine, like put it up on there on the weekend or whatever. I might watch it and check it out. At least put it on, or you could do like I said, like Hulu used to do with Raw and SmackDown. They put them up like a week later, something like that. Even if it's on a delay, at least give people a chance to watch it who don't have cable, because I feel like cable is weaning, right now. Like cable subscriptions are way down, especially over here, Richie, like in the United States. Like people are way getting off cable and more just on streaming services right now than that kind of thing.
Yeah, you'd get, like, even if like on when they're on Hulu, they'll be on Hulu and there'd be like an abridged version sort of thing. It's like an hour, but like so at least it's better than nothing, I guess. So, but yeah, I don't know. I think eventually, I was surprised that wasn't one of his announcements, but he didn't mention anything about that. he said that we're going on tour, we're doing this Canadian tour, and there's going to be Collision. But yeah. Interesting enough, I guess, because the CM Punk thing's up in the air. Like, you'd think he didn't announce where the show was, even though they think they already know, because I think it's going to be. I think it's in Chicago. So,
Well, that was the rumors that it was going to be in Chicago, and it was going to be CM Punk coming back in Chicago for the first episode of Collision to try to bump ratings. And now that that's
and yeah,
probably
so
not going to happen.
and mysteriously didn't say. He's like, "Oh, we'll announce where the location is next week." It's like, okay, fair enough.
Okay, sure.
Meaning,
Another big announcement from Tony Khan.
Yeah, not like you haven't already booked your venue. You would have booked your venue 6 months ago, like months ago. Like it's that's kind of silly, to say like, oh, we don't.
Yeah.
They definitely know.
Means we're trying to smooth things over with Punk, and then we'll announce it. but we're going to announce it
hopefully
anyway.
we'll have another week to negotiate with Punk and his contract, and then we'll get back to you in a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's a weird thing, but 3 shows for AEW.
Okay. I think what really it speaks to, and this was like kind of also, I wasn't going to talk about this because it's not like huge news, but like Leva Bates kind of like got released. Like her story of her release was that like the people didn't even realize, like that she didn't even realize like they were giving you a contract because no one told her or whatever. Like there wasn't any communication, and then like I think there's been like a big sticking point for a lot of people. With some people like I think Jonathan Gresham had a falling out with Tony Khan because there's no communication. It's like you need this other person in your company. You can't just run everything. You need this. You need the.
It's called Richie. It's called delegation. You got to delegate some of this shit to other people. You got to have a public relations person. You need to have somebody communicating contract things with the wrestlers. You need to have somebody like Jim Ross, who's like a talent relation, person. You need to have these locker room guys who make sure these stupid fights that are happening at backstage at AEW don't happen. People like Arn Anderson, who somebody would respect not to fight in front of. You know what I mean? Like those guys.
Dean Malenko's there. Jerry Lynn's there.
Right. You got guys like that who are respected, who could step in the middle of something and they wouldn't hit those guys because they respect them, and who could like also just communicate with the guys on a regular basis and make sure stuff like this doesn't blow over. Or if there's issues, you have guys that they could go to iron out issues. In media. Tony Khan, you can't do everything. We talked about that, and he's trying to do everything. And it's like, bro, you can't do everything. That's where you get into trouble. That's where WCW got in trouble around this era we're talking about, around the 2000s. It's like Vince Russo was trying to do everything, and it was a clusterfuck because he was still writing the show the day of and trying to communicate to everybody this, that, and the other. And literally people have talked about they would show up to the venue, not have any idea if they were even going to be on the show. Half of them would just be standing around waiting for the show to get rewritten for the 3rd time and, not knowing if they were going to wrestle or do promos or whatever. And literally the shows are being rewritten in the middle of the show, like they had no idea what they were doing. That's why the announcers didn't know what they were doing half the time. Like the
you mean like what Vince does now?
Yeah, essentially. So, but it was even worse back then because he'd be rewriting in the middle of the show. So, it's one of those things where he needs to delegate. He's got the money to delegate and have official jobs for all these people, to handle this stuff. He just needs to do that.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what happens on that first episode, what happens with the show. But June 17th, it's a month away.
Yeah, I might be able to see. Well, and just speaking of AEW, Double or Nothing is going to be in the movie theaters again.
Nice.
Where you can go to a movie theater possibly on the 28th to go see it. I might go see it because it's actually, I think it's $25 for the ticket. But instead of paying $50 to watch it at home, so and one of the two things, if I want to watch it, I can go watch it at my Regal that I go to all the time. So it might not be a bad idea, but 4 or 5 hours in a theater might be a little long. But maybe I'll just show up for the main show and not the pre-show. But we'll see. I might do that, as long as we don't have anything else going on that night. Which I think Jordan's out of town that night, so I don't think we're going to do any trivia or anything. So I might actually do that.
So good.
Yeah, so might go see it in the theater, just for change of pace. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll talk about that show next week. Get our predictions. We got Night of Champions.
That's right, 2 predictions. Night of Champions, except for one champion.
Well, yeah.
He's there. He's just not defending that championship.
We're defending all the belts. Well, almost except for one.
Except for the main
Almost
one.
because Roman wants another belt. He's got two. He doesn't have two.
He doesn't have enough belts. Yeah. and he's the top champion, but at Night of Champions, he's not going to defend his championship. Okay, weird.
Yeah.
All right, we'll talk about that next week. But it's really stupid. That's really dumb.
Yeah, at least on Slamboree 2000, they defended the main belt.
Yeah,
they did. Yes.
Yeah, but before we get to Slamboree, let's talk something at least decent first.
Well, I'll at least set up why I chose the show. So I picked Slamboree 2000, just because it was related to Ready to Rumble, and I was like, well, why don't we also just talk Ready to Rumble? And because they kind of feed right into each other, because Ready to Rumble premiered in theaters about a month before Slamboree, and then obviously the whole David Arquette thing happened in the middle of that, and David Arquette is in part of the main event at Slamboree, and they also used the Triple Cage from the movie, so I figured it would all kind of tie together. And it's also a Russo show, which I wanted us to try to watch a Russo show just to see what would happen. I didn't pick the worst one, apparently. So you guys lucked out that I picked one that ended up being mediocre, but like they could be worse. So way worse. But yeah, we'll talk Ready to Rumble first. Who saw this in the theater?
I know. I watched it. I rented it out from a video store.
I'm trying to remember if I did, because this was 2000. I had just kind of started watching wrestling. Like, I still wasn't fully, really, totally allowed to watch wrestling when I was a kid. But I was kind of my parents were starting to kind of let me watch a little bit, because my first real big memories of watching wrestling, oddly enough, was The Invasion a year later. It was my biggest, first memories of, watching week to week. So I don't remember if I saw this in the theater or not, but I did buy, when I started buying DVDs, I still have my old Snapcase DVD of Ready to Rumble, and the whole thing is falling apart, as you can see. It slides right off. So, yeah, it barely hangs in there. But, yeah, I still have the original run of DVDs when they had the little Snapcase on the side, like my Rush Hour DVD and some of those things. So, I did buy this DVD, so I think that's probably the first time I saw it, was just buying it, because I knew it was a wrestling movie, so I just bought it. And
Did they release it on Blu-ray or anything?
That's a good question. I'd have to look that up on Amazon and see. I don't know. It just seems like one of those movies that wouldn't, because I bought it eventually also on Vudu in HD, just so I had an HD copy of it. But I don't think this was ever released on Blu-ray. Maybe. Let me see.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I don't think so. It's not popping up immediately. So no, I think this is just on DVD. So yep. No, if you want it in HD, you gotta rent it online or whatever in HD. So yeah. That's all you got.
You can watch it on YouTube, like I'm doing.
YouTube,
it's literally playing in the background.
Yeah,
right.
That's what I did. That's exactly. So yes, I rented it on YouTube.
Yes.
So what lasts longer, this show or Ready to Rumble?
Yeah. So comes out in April of 2000. Has a $25 million budget, makes $12 million. I'm surprised, honestly, it made that much. I expected it to be lower than that. So it bombed, essentially. It's directed by Brian Robbins, who at the time I knew was the director of Good Burger. So I was like, you know what? That sounds about right for Ready to Rumble. He's a functional director to get your movie in on time and on budget, so, and he's he went on to direct a lot of really bad Eddie Murphy movies like Norbit and 1,000 Words and Meet Dave and some just a series of bad Eddie Murphy movies.
Do you see he's in line to be in talks to expect a Clouseau and Pink Panther? That's a bad choice.
Yeah, that's a bad idea.
Bad choice. Anyway.
Yeah, that is not an Eddie Murphy role, but anyways, that's a whole other
anyway. It ties in because I think if he does do that, we're going to be in line for another set of bad Eddie Murphy comedies.
Right. Do more stuff like Dolomite Is My Name. That's a good movie and it's a good performance. Do more stuff like you did in Dreamgirls. That's good. Like you can act. You can act and be funny. Like Dolomite Is My Name is a good performance, but he's also funny in it. Like he's a good character. Like you can do that. You can do that, Eddie Murphy. Do more stuff.
Do more stuff.
Yeah, Eddie Murphy is definitely watching right now.
What?
Eddie Murphy, if you're watching right now, which you would have no reason to because we're not reviewing one of your movies.
Is he have a wrestling tie-in movie? No,
no,
not really.
no.
No, I don't think so. Can't think of a wrestler.
I
who
was
would be
so
in
I was
the movie.
reading Roger Ebert's review of Ready to Rumble earlier because that's online. That website has all of his archive stuff. He actually gave it a 2 out of 4, which is way higher than I thought it would be. I thought it was
Yeah,
going to be a 1 out of 4.
okay.
And he said, and what he said, I think kind of makes sense. Is that he says when it's actually focused on the wrestling stuff, he says it's not really a bad like sports movie. It's actually okay. And then he said, I just hated all the stuff where they're trying to be like Dumb and Dumber or Road Trip, you know?
Yeah.
Just the dumb like buddy comedy stuff that is just not that good. But he said the wrestling scenes are well done, which they are, like pretty much for the most part. And and they're somewhat exciting and that stuff is not bad, like as far as the story, basic sort of sports storyline of a guy who's kind of had a falling out and is trying to get back in. It's just weird because it's pro wrestling, which is supposed to be scripted and pre-planned.
In this universe, it's scripted but also real. I don't understand.
Yeah, it's 50-50, which is why, Jacob and I are going to do a show at some point in the future where we talk about wrestling scenes in movies and how the wrestling is treated. And it's like half and half in this movie because, they like have the scripted stuff, but also like, as we see in the main, first big scene at the end of the first act when it's DDP versus the King, it's like they're having a match, but then DDP starts shooting on him and like pins him for real, and like they really steal the title. But then later it's like, I can just attack you in the back for real and get a scripted main event at an upcoming scripted pay-per-view, which is weird.
You're not punished for that or anything for going off script. No, I was just writing the script. That's
okay,
cool.
we'll just have you I'll give you a title match in a cage and also a chance at $1 million. What?
Okay, cool.
Okay, that doesn't make any sense, but okay. Sure. Joe Pantoliano as Titus Sinclair is not a very good booker. He's a very sloppy booker. He's like telling people to shoot on people in the ring, and like most of the roster doesn't like him as a person and like talk shit about him like right next to him, but also like he gives people what they want when they attack his guys that he wants to push in the business. Like it's very, very strange. He's a very odd booker.
They are currently in the van with the nuns singing "Running with the Devil" by Van Halen.
Oh, because that's funny because they're singing "Running with the Devil" with nuns,
and they're nuns. That's like the antithesis of what they would be doing.
I was curious, so I looked it up on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah,
and the critics' consensus: humor at its lowest that isn't funny for kids and is insulting to adults.
They might not be wrong. I mean, it's not the best written movie in the world. It's the basic setup is two guys who the biggest thing to do in Wyoming, as it probably is in real life, is go to Nitro. That's the haps of the town. When Nitro comes, I mean, that I guess that makes sense when you're in a small town. If some big wrestling,
I guess if it was any other bigger city, I'd say. I still think it is kind of. The movie came at a particular time when I think. It's almost like WCW pushed this movie so like they can get the word out. Hey, WCW is still cool, guys. Hey, can you watch us still? Hey,
when they were comping a lot of tickets and only selling about half the tickets at the arenas they've been to before, because literally the Nitro after Slamboree, they're at this one arena and like. I literally was you reading in Death of WCW, the Brian Alvarez book, that they sold like 3,000 paid tickets to a place that held like 12,000. Like it was really bad around this time, to where like you can tell even around the camera shots every time they do the shows, they have everybody literally on like one side of the arena, and that's all they show. At a lot of these, like the pay-per-view itself, it was at the Kemper Arena in Kansas City, had like 4,000 paid, and then I think they gave away another 2,000 or 3,000 tickets to try to pad the attendance out a little bit locally.
Because I would believe that if they're in a small town like Wyoming, or even Wyoming in general, they don't get probably a lot of stuff like maybe the talk of the town would be, hey, the big wrestling event's coming to town, but you wouldn't be able to do it like, hey, we're in Chicago. Hey, did you know wrestling? Hey, you got a Nitro? Oh, you got a Nitro? No. I would be like, well, no bullshit. No one's not not everyone's talking about that.
Well, in Ready to Rumble, after King loses the title and they go to the next Thunder or whatever it is in New York City for some reason, they go from Miami to New York City, which just logistically doesn't make any sense.
Like you wouldn't get that.
That's not how those tours work. Like tours, if they went from Wyoming, they would then go to like Denver or something, or or go over to Idaho or whatever, or even Seattle, like is within reason. But like, yeah, you don't go from there to like for a random TV show back to New York City, which WCW never really ran in anyways, because that was WWF town. Anyways, it was like Madison Square Garden, like New York City. But they run, by the way, I noticed at the New York Arena, which is a non-existent arena in New York City.
Is it because they didn't have the right to say Madison Square Garden?
Yeah, you can't say Madison Square Garden or what is now the Barclays Center in like Brooklyn or anything like that. So yeah, you can't do that. But yeah, it's a strange premise because it's like, yeah, they shoot on Jimmy King, take the title from him. He just goes home. Apparently, he's just like fired, I guess, and he's not going to wrestle anymore. And then these two guys just track him down to the trailer. Yeah, and convince him to get back in. So, yes, they get back into the business after a guy who's fired, and they also get in the business by assaulting somebody for real. You know what I mean? Like, backstage at a show. Yeah, we'll get to Sal Bandini. We haven't gotten there yet. But we're kind of trying to go through a little bit of the movie first. But, yeah, they assault a guy legitimately backstage, and then Titus Sinclair, the stupid booker, just rolls with it, which is weird. And then apparently now David Arquette and Scott Kahn are now contracted by WCW or something. Is that how you get in the business?
Apparently.
But the weird thing is, because WCW, they would totally do something like that.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't know you could just like assault somebody at a show and like pin them, and you're like part of the roster now. That's weird.
Yeah.
So if I had pinned Crash Holly back in the days of the 24/7, am I just part of the roster now? Like as an audience member, can I just legitimately put ether around his face and like count him out and take the hardcore title, and now I'm part of the roster and I have matches now? Like
that's that dude who tried to get in the ring when Hulk Hogan turned heel, and if he got the better of Scott Hall, would he be versus?
Will we sign him? Yeah, will we sign him to a contract and have him face Scott Hall at the next show? Yeah, it's really weird. And then what they do? Yeah, they take him and tell him he's got to get in shape. So they go see the aforementioned Martin Landau as Sal Bandini, who is legitimately probably one of the better parts of the movie. He's pretty fun. Oh my god, yeah. Fucking Ralphus.
Oh yeah.
We'll get there.
We'll talk about Ralphus because my god, I used to think like Vince McMahon was one of the most uncoordinated people in the ring, but like he's 10 times the wrestler Ralphus is. So yeah, that's not even close. We'll get there. But yeah, like Sal Bandini, that stuff is fun when he's Sid Vicious and then break into his house and he's legitimately just like wrestling them and putting them in headlocks and wrist locks and making them tap out. That's all right, but I feel like there's not enough of that. It's like and then he's immediately in the hospital. It's very strange.
Yeah. It's an odd. Yeah, it's a very odd movie, but like I can like it because I can tell it's like I don't know. I can tell it's a passion project because I know David Arquette really loves wrestling. But yeah, it is. Yeah, I do tend to agree with Roger Ebert. But I do think the wrestling, is choreographed really well because obviously it's they had the assistance of actual wrestlers,
Right.
But yeah, the road trip, Dumb and Dumber aspect of it was like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
And how do you get to the actual, to Jimmy King's redemption? So okay, whatever.
Yeah, I'm like I said, it's on in the background, and this part is all it's dumb.
Which stuff?
Going back and forth with this kid who's, I gotta get off the phone. My dad says yakking on the phone is for pussies.
Oh, you mean the Shermanator from American Pie? Yeah, it's just weird stuff where it's like, and they make a big deal about it because it's 2000, where he's like, I can find anything on the internet. Because the internet was like a new thing then. He's like, I can find anything on the internet, this interweb. I can find records of RV sales and mortgage records. Like it's fucking weird. Like
tickets.
Yeah, I could find out. Yeah, that stuff is kind of weird. He's just like the guy in the chair they just meet randomly because he's playing a Jimmy King arcade game. Like, okay, like strange. So if they hadn't have met him, would they not have found the king? Like, yeah, that's very coincidental. It's some random like
Yeah.
backstage. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, and like, wouldn't you be freaked out if like a fan just came up to you? I don't know, just like I don't know, like man, I've seen enough like I don't know, like there's been like true crime things where like obsessed fans found something,
Found
found
somebody's address
somebody's
online and
house
said,
and killed them.
yeah, right, yeah. It's well, and I'm sure being a wrestler of 15 years or whatever, you get enough fans that just bug you for autographs or whatever. But somebody that actually shows up at your door and is like, "I'm going to get you back in the business," you'd be like, "No, fuck off,
Yeah,
bye." No, I'm going to legitimately like kick your ass, like get out of
yeah,
here. Yeah, it's weird how like everything's kind of convoluted how it's set up, and then basically like when you get to the actual pay per view, what do they call it? Like it's not Sin because they actually did a pay per view called Sin. It's just like some Vegasy thing, like that they
yeah.
did because the pay per views in Las Vegas. But it's
Kind of
like,
like the AEW thing. Yeah,
yeah, but again, like the actual main event, Paige and Jimmy King are legitimately fighting again. Like
yeah,
but in the ring, and there's like other guys that are fighting. Is the rest of the roster fighting for real when they all try to
yeah,
interfere?
yeah.
Goldberg and Sting and
Goldberg
Booker
and
T and all
Sting,
those
and you
guys.
don't really see much of that. Yeah, they just see
Yeah.
certain interactions. They're kind of just bit players, so you don't know if they're really fighting or if it's just them because they got a sort of blood feud. Yeah, like I guess when they interfere, like I don't know. It's like they DDP and Jimmy Page allowed a shoot fight. It's weird.
And if it was a shoot thing, the fall that DDP takes at the end of that movie is horrendous. Like,
Yeah,
is like horrific as far as like he might be paralyzed, like legitimately. If that was like a real thing where he fell through 40 feet of cage mat, like that's worse than the McFoley fall. Like
yeah,
legit. Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah,
he'd
yeah.
be very, very badly injured.
Yeah, and you'd be, but and then like, and if if you set it up as a shoot, I think you'd have a right, I don't know, it'd be that's a lawsuit. I don't know, just
It maybe, but then New Jack stabbed a guy that I was in attendance for in Jacksonville 11 times in a ring and got off of it because it was in a ring. So who
okay.
knows? I was at that show where he stabbed a guy
As
11
long as
times in
it's in a
Jacksonville,
ring.
and as long as it was in the ring, it's like, what do you do about it? Because
Yeah,
you're agreeing to fight in a way. But
yeah,
I do
okay.
know that DDP has talked about he proposed an alternate ending to this movie to where after it was all said and done, like Arquette and Khan and Oliver Platt or whatever, like go back to the locker room and like DDP is there and like DDP and Platt like hug each other and then like they're confused and they look at him and go like, "Welcome to the business, guys." Like it was all a setup from the beginning.
Yeah,
I don't know. What
yeah.
do you
I,
think?
I, I wouldn't mind that. Yeah,
I think that would be better and make a little more sense to the movie if like it was, but then again, the setup wouldn't make any sense though with like them driving him to the thing where he assaulted Paige. Like that wouldn't make a lot of sense. But like
yeah,
it would if him and Paige talked about what they were going to do in the cage beforehand for the business. Like I don't know. Like it would make a little more sense at least.
yeah. But maybe they didn't want to put a thing at the end where even though we know wrestling's work, they didn't want to, if kids are, if younger people are going to watch this, oh, what wrestling's not really, I don't know,
Yeah, but I feel like the only people that are going to see this movie are wrestling fans, anyways, who
Yeah, I
probably
know.
know it's a work. Like it's everybody kind of knew around this time. Like that's part of Russo's booking was believing that everybody read dirt sheets, as you'll see on some of these shows that we're going
Yeah,
to talk about. That he believed everybody read internet stuff and everybody knew it was a work, and like he just assumed that everybody was kind of in on it. So I mean, I guess the movie kind of assumes that as well. But yeah.
yeah. But I don't know. It's a fun. I would say it's a fun time capsule in
Sure.
in sort of history. This movie, and
Well,
I think
it makes me wonder why we never got a fully, other than sort of Fighting with My Family, like a fully WWE movie, like
yeah,
in a similar vein. Like Fighting with My Family is about the closest thing we got, and then we have Beyond the Mat, which is like a documentary, like a little bit around the Royal Rumble '99. But like,
yeah,
yeah, like if WCW was able to do a movie, a storyline based around some fans, whatever, that the closest thing we got is the Page thing and Fighting with My Family. So
yeah.
we'll see
I feel
where
like
that.
we're due for like something like sort of bit and a bit more like I don't know like lighthearted a bit because you've got like obviously Beyond the Mat and then Finding My Family, but then you also got like obviously these days you got like Dark Side of the Ring, which is a very depressing side of things. So, like like cool. I want to see like more kind of like Ready Rumble, that sort of lighthearted type things with the WWE Twitter. Like I don't want WWE to be full involvement in that because their film sucks, but like just kind of like but
Hey, See No Evil is a masterpiece. Okay.
It's actually one of their better ones. It's still not great though. But anyway, I own that.
I do too, but that's beyond the point. I think I own The Condemned as well somewhere.
Yeah. But yeah. And then but I don't know. You'd think that they would do something like like a WWE one. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I guess we had, because No Holds Barred had Hulk Hogan, which at the time he was like the champion, but so that's about the closest thing we got. But they had to work it to where it was like a TV show, and like it wasn't actually like WWF. It was more like a reality show thing, like kind of a half American Gladiator sort of thing. Like it was, they always have to like work it in a weird way to where it's not really like Raw or Nitro or whatever. Yeah, it's always like something else. It's very strange.
Yeah. So I mean, I could kind of see something like. I mean, because it's WWE. Like if it's sort of like a WWE thing, like, and if they get like a wrestler involved, they'll be like, okay, look, you want a WWE involvement in this like WWE inspired project? Okay, cool. The Miz is available. Like, you don't have to have the Miz and everything.
Well, I guess the closest thing we're kind of gonna get, even though we haven't heard any updates on it in a while, is that Chris Hemsworth like Hulk Hogan biopic thing. Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming it's going to include some stuff from WWF. It has to, right? Like, with Hulkamania, like it's got to, right?
Yeah.
He talked about it a little while ago. He said he did just admit that it's a little like it's a little while off the track yet. It says he's got a lot of other things in the pipeline.
Right. So it's probably not a priority when you're still doing Marvel stuff, right? Like the actual big paying stuff, most likely. But yeah, it's like we've got that. The Von Erich thing coming up, right? So that's
but and MJF's in that, so
So I mean, we'll see how the wrestling's treated in those, and but yeah, I guess the Hulk Hogan thing with Chris Hemsworth is going to be maybe the closest thing we have to something. I mean, it's a biopic, obviously. So
there was supposed to be. I don't know if it's still going ahead, but there was all the time there was for a while. It's been running for ages. There's a biopic about Vince McMahon, but I don't know if you want to do it one now.
I'm not sure. Now, because it has a bad ending. It has an ending you don't really want for the movie. Or else you got a whole new act you have to address that you can't just let sit by the wayside. Yeah, at one point it would have been, you could have, but it makes it a little more awkward when the story didn't end well.
Yeah, but also I think in the works or something talked about there might be a biopic about Ric Flair as well in the works.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that. I mean, there's a lot you could do with that as far as a lot of the things that's places he's been and things you can. But you got to find somebody that charismatic, that can carry that. But it'd be interesting. So I mean, there's potential there. But yeah, I'm surprised they've never just done like something similar to Ready Rumble, just about some fans of the WWE or whatever, going to shows and doing things and being super fans, like whatever.
Yeah,
so, I don't know. Yeah. Probably never will. They probably saw this movie and were like, yeah, let's not do that.
Never mind.
No, I mean, this is a movie that will always hold a special place in a lot of wrestling fans' hearts just because it literally is the only movie that's like about wrestling fans, getting super into wrestling essentially. Mm-hmm. And legitimately sponsored by like a real wrestling organization at one point, with actual wrestlers from the promotion. So yeah, it's a good time capsule of what was going on around this time, but I don't think we'll ever get anything like it, in the future. But it's always going to be that guilty pleasure territory for a lot of wrestling fans like us.
I believe they mentioned on commentary, Chris Kanyon was Oliver Platt's stunt double. I think.
Mm-hmm. I think. No, that's actually true. Like on the Slamboree commentary, that's legitimately like he was and he was also what they say the wrestling advisor. Like that's all true. I think he choreographed most of the wrestling stuff. I think Oliver Platt did do some stuff, like some of the basic stuff, but some of the bigger stunts Kanyon did. So,
it's decent. It's a fun watch, but I mean,
Yeah, it's what I mean. Yeah, there's not like a lot
10-year-old
of
me, 10-year-old me enjoyed it a lot
A
more.
lot more than 37-year-old me. Yeah, that watch it now. Yeah, it's like, the wrestling again. The wrestling scenes are good. Like some of the stuff,
Yeah.
that stuff is fun. It's fun seeing all the cameos and pointing out all the wrestlers. Be like, oh, I forgot Van Hammer was in this movie. Like that's weird. He's one of the guys with Paige at the beginning of the movie. That's odd. Of all people, Van Hammer. Okay, but all right. And then
Yeah.
you play Spot John Cena in the background of the gym scene.
Oh,
And,
yeah, the gym. I think was it Goldberg and is it?
Yeah, it's the Goldberg scene where he's yapping with them or whatever, and I mean it's fun to spot all the cameos and things, and the Nitro girls are fun, and I do like some of the lines and things are fun. I like the I think you're sexy, Mean Gene. I really do like that. That stuff is funny. Like there's a few legitimately like pretty good things here and there, but yeah, overall it's again it's guilty pleasure territory for real.
Yeah.
It just kind of is. So, should we get into how this movie affected actual wrestling storylines in the following weeks?
Yeah.
And I'll say I did watch the Nitro and the Thunder leading up to Slamboree just to kind of see what was going on, and we were in full on New Blood versus Millionaires Club world because that was the main storyline of everything because everybody on the roster was either in the New Blood or in the Millionaires Club. It was kind of like how everybody on the roster was either NWO or you just weren't NWO. That's kind of how it was in like 1997. So yeah, it's literally the same thing. It's like, were you in the New Blood or were you with the Millionaires? Because they always say on the shows, they say the Millionaire Club and their allies, because Chronic is not in the Millionaires Club. I don't think Chronic was making $1 million. I don't think Mr. Perfect was making $1 million. I don't think Chris Candon was making, part of the Millionaires Club. But yeah.
Man, we'll get into Mr. Perfect. Man, what a dud he had. Anyway.
Yeah. You mean Kurt Hennig?
Kurt Hennig, but Jesus Christ, like that was.
Yeah.
I mean, pretty much nothing about him changed.
Yeah. So of course the main thing was not the Thunder before the show, but the Thunder before that. David Arquette had won the world title on Thunder in a tag team match.
So and I think this was like the 5th title change in like
something like that. Yeah, because then the title changes hands again at Slamboree. But yeah, he's on Nitro, but he isn't on Thunder, the one before Slamboree, because he's on Nitro. It's very weird because they have him on Nitro, but they bounce back and forth between him being live at the show and like these weird pre-tapes they did on the set of 3,000 Miles to Graceland, because he has a promo sort of moment with Kurt Russell on the show. Kurt Russell actually makes an appearance on it. Yeah, where he's just like, basically they're walking back to the set and Kurt Russell sees him and he's just like, what's that? He's like, I'm the WCW champion. He's like, and he like walks away. Like, it's pretty funny. So yeah, it's like a Kurt Russell cameo. Courtney Cox is there. But then like live at the show on Nitro, he had like a match with Tank Abbott, but like Tank Abbott, all he did was like double leg him, and then 8,000 people ran down to the ring for like some interference. It was stupid. And then he wasn't even on the Thunder. And then I told Richie, I was like, if you're curious, the Thunder before Slamboree is all about, of course, New Blood versus Millionaires Club. But Vince Russo says all the matches are going to be New York style, no referee. And I was like, what? So they had 7 matches on the show. None of them had referees. It was wacky.
I didn't get around to it, but
it was wacky because they would have like matches where it's like, Mike Awesome versus whoever. Like, I don't even remember the matches, like whatever. And like they're just fighting and doing this match, and then they just basically just get to a finish. They just don't do any falsies, and to where they get to the finish and somebody just counts their own pin. It's very strange. Like I don't know. It's a Russo-rific show, like for sure, where it just doesn't make any sense. But everything was on that Thunder was Millionaires Club got everything over on the New Blood. They won like every match because they were united, and the New Blood was falling apart, whatever. And so you get to the pay-per-view and it's like, oh, will the New Blood be able to like band together against the Millionaires Club who are united, at this show or whatever. And, we'll see what happens. So we'll talk about the individual storylines when we get there by match. But yeah.
So 2 things off the bat here.
Yes.
One, we open up, but it opens up cold. Just like it shows a replay of Nitro of a battle royal
Yes.
Which
is the longest battle royal you'll ever see. The one from Thunder. Oh my god!
Yeah,
they had a 20-minute dude. The battle royal starts on the ticker, like on the Peacock thing. It starts at like 1:08, like an hour and 8 minutes, and it was like the main event, and there was still 30 minutes or something left to go. I was like, oh my god! Don't tell me this is like a 30-minute battle royal, and it's basically like a 20-minute battle royal. It's excruciating. It's horrible, and it all just leads up to them stalling for time to a Randy Savage return out of nowhere on Thunder, and he'd be gone for like a year. And then I don't remember, is he even on this show, this Slamboree show? How do you have Randy Savage come back and he has nothing to do with this pay-per-view? Like, that makes no goddamn sense. Just he shows up out of nowhere on Thunder, and then you don't do anything with it on Slamboree. That's weird.
So my point is, like, they had this battle royal, okay?
Yes.
And then they show that so the winner of this, gets a shot at the title at Great American Bash. Okay.
Another month from now, not this.
Another month from now.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. But we're not watching Great American Bash.
We're watching Slamboree.
So what's the point of showing me this?
Because we didn't have David Arquette on Thunder, so we couldn't really plug the match at Slamboree because we didn't have our champion on the show. So it was weird. So we just had to start setting up for the next pay-per-view. Okay, that's odd. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. They had some stuff between Paige and Jarrett, like on the show, sprinkled throughout. But again, it's mixed up in all this other New Blood Millionaire nonsense that's just on every match, essentially. So
and then he got, like, we open the show. Tony Schiavone goes, "The war that began last Wednesday." I'm like, has this show been built the whole build for the show been like a week? Like,
it's basically been a week because I think there's matches on here, bro, like on this card that we saw nothing of, like the week on that Nitro or Thunder that just happened on the show. Like, we'll get into it. The very first match had zero build on either Nitro or Thunder, and neither did the hardcore match. It just happened on the show out of nowhere. So, well, I'll get into it. I'll take lead on it since I put you guys through this. So it's Slamboree 2000, May 7th, 2000, from Kansas City, the Kemper Arena, the same arena that Owen Hart died, which the live audience was horrified at what happened to Camden at the end of the show, even though it was a crash pad, as we'll talk about later, because of what actually happened, a year before at that arena. But anyways, there's not really anything pre-show. I was kind of expecting a lot of chaos, backstage nonsense, but we just jump right into our first. I put, by the way, stars beside each match on this thing that had interference. So we'll talk about that throughout the show. But it was most of the matches had some kind of outside interference or shenanigans. But yeah, so the first match is a match that had no build. Chris Candido versus the Artist, formerly known as Prince Iakea. Yes, who was out there. Chris Candido has Tammy Sitch out there, aka Sunny, and then the Artist had Paisley, who is Charmel, for anybody who doesn't know, Queen Charmel. But yeah, this match, just to let you know, had no build on the Nitro or Thunder that I saw. Neither one of these guys was on either one of those shows, so we have no idea why the Artist is getting the shot against Chris Candido. Whatever, it's just a match.
Why not?
Because why not? And yeah, this match, the story of this match was, boy, did they botch a lot of spots in this match.
I blame Prince Iakea because he sucks.
And I could back that up, Richie, because I did several shows in Florida with Prince Iakea, several NWA shows down there, and he not only sucks, he's an asshole. Fuck that guy. In person, he's a dickhead, and I don't like him. and he always sucked, and it was never good. So and he sucks. Chris Candido's a good wrestler, and he sucked, and they botched every other move that they tried to do in this match.
But before, that was like, obviously Sonny got her promos like, hey, you want to see me take my clothes off, and they're like, but then Candido did the thing. He'll try to hit the heel thing. He blocked
the most tired gimmick with a guy in his hot valet ever of the guy who doesn't want his hot valet to show herself to the crowd. Like,
I think the crowd was so bored of that they didn't even boo him when they tried
just to like whatever.
No, just like, whatever, who cares? And then there was this botches galore in this match. But nothing. We could go if you want to go through the botches in the match. You could go ahead, but like nothing's more botched than the finish.
Oh no, the whole finish is botched. I was just going to say the first thing they try to do is a Russian leg sweep that they immediately botch. They try to do a Russian leg sweep, they just kind of fall over, and Candido tries to like do like some kind of headlock takeover to save it, and it was bad. But yeah, so it's very sloppy back and forth, and then they first and quickly there's another top rope move where. Candido, or is it IK? One of them tried to do a top rope crossbody, completely misses, and it was supposed to be like a crossbody into a roll up, and like they completely missed, where Candido had to like fall backwards into the roll up.
Yes.
It was really really bad to try to save it, and then yes, Tammy hit IK right with the chair.
Tammy hits IK with the chair, and
Yes.
then Candido goes to the cover. I think IK is supposed to kick out, but he forgets, and so the referee counts 3. And instead of just rolling with that, the announcers decide to gaslight the audience, saying, "Oh, he kicked out."
Yeah, he kicked out. And then what was the actual finish? I even forget the actual finish. After
the actual
that.
finish is he just hits a pile driver and
That's right, because he won anyway. So like why? Because it made sense that the chair shot should have been the finish, right? Because he counts.
Yeah.
I think it was supposed to be the finish, and then IOK thought it wasn't the finish, so he kicked out.
But he kicked out 3.
He kicked out after 3, so it still should have been a pinfall even after you kicked out, because you didn't kick out before 3, you kicked out after 3, so you should have just done it. But I'm sure IK was like, "Fuck that, we got to keep going," and they can't hit his pile driver or whatever, and still won. Yeah, this match was a mess. It's 8 minutes of a mess. IOK sucks. He always did. He still does. And it stinks because Candido, I forget he was even in WCW around this time, but like he's a good wrestler. And I would have liked to have seen him against almost anybody else on the roster besides him. There's a bunch of other guys you could have had him up against, and whatever, it probably would have been better. But yeah, not a good start to the show. And yes, I marked this match as interference because there was interference from both of the ladies. So this match had
not the first time.
Not the first time, won't be the last. So we go into another match that had 0 build on either the Nitro or the Thunder. Terry Funk is the hardcore champion, even though we had never seen him on either of those other shows. And we hadn't seen Norman. Actually, no, I take that back. Norman Smiley had a match with somebody, and Ralphus was out there, but he had like a mascot head on. But like he spent most of the match in between the ropes, like acting like he couldn't get out from the ropes with the mascot head on for like 9 minutes. It's the most awkward 9 minutes ever. Just trying to pretend like he couldn't get out of this. So it's really bad. Everybody's pretending like they don't know it's Ralphus, which is plainly fucking clear it's Ralphus.
But when it was revealed as Ralphus, Tony Schiavone goes, "Of course it's Ralphus."
Yeah, it's like, why didn't he say that before? He's like, yeah, we all know that looks like fat ass Ralphus. Like, he can't move, and is the most uncoordinated man. Maybe he might be worse than that guy of the match we watched, that Don Valentine guy. Like Ralphus might be worse because like he literally can't even like swing a trash can properly. Like he can't do anything. And he's disgusting to look at. And he's terrible. Like it was somewhat amusing for a week when Chris Jericho had him as like his security guard. It was like a one joke thing that I don't know why he's still on television 2 years later. Like I don't get it.
Yeah,
I don't understand. Like why can't you have somebody else that is an actual wrestler, but maybe who's like kind of a joke wrestler, like Lodi or something? Like can you have somebody who could at least like is a wrestler?
Yeah,
or you could have a little person wrestler. I don't know, somebody who actually knows how to work. Anything.
There's part of me that kind of like this in the sense that it's the only match on the card that's not affiliated with like the
New Blood Millionaires thing.
Yeah, so it's like the only thing that's separate from that. So
right.
I was like, oh, that's a breath of fresh air. But
probably because Terry Funk was like, I ain't doing that bullshit. Like I'm gonna have my own match. I ain't doing that bullshit. You ain't gonna interfere in my. We'll have our match. Yeah, we should say this. Pretty much most of this match takes place in the backstage area. It starts out in the bathroom and then just goes through the arena, and it's like it's Terry Funk doing his best to like bump all over the place and throw himself into everything imaginable. He's throwing himself into crates, he's throwing himself into fences, throwing himself into vending machines, doing his best to like make it entertaining. but then every now and then Ralphus, most of the match, he just stands around and does nothing. And then every now and then Terry Funk will remember he's there and like hit him with something. And Ralphus will stumble down on his ass and do nothing for another 5 minutes. And then they have to like drag him to the ring because he's terrible. He can't even get in the ring. Like he's just the shits. Like I actually wasn't. Terry Funk and Norman Smiley wasn't bad when it was just them because like Norman Smiley can work. Like he's actually a decent worker. And then like Terry Funk can work. And if it was just them, I'd be okay with it. But like, yeah, this Ralphus shit like drags the whole thing down. It's terrible.
Yeah.
I never thought I would find a match that would rival Michael Cole and Jerry Lawler. Found it.
Yeah. What did expand? What were your overall thoughts about this match, Jacob?
No, I don't want to. I don't want to expand my thoughts because I don't want to talk about this match. This match was terrible. It's probably the worst thing I've seen in a long, long time. Ralphus was just, oh my gosh, like.
Had you ever seen Ralphus
I
before this?
have weapons in my hand, but I'm not going to use them. And even though Norman is getting beat up by Terry Funk right now, I guess.
Yeah.
And the softest blows ever.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I would have been okay with it.
Plus, Ralphus has the most.
Did someone say Ralphus?
Oh Jesus!
Oh, good. Yeah.
We were just saying how
match,
JPO, you definitely could have better matches than Ralphus, like 100%.
I have me versus Tim Sarago. Google it later, kids.
Right.
It's funny too.
I'm a fucking referee, and I could have a better match than Ralphus. 1,000%. 1,000%.
I gotta love it. I believe Jericho has said like they never like taught him anything. They're just like go.
No, yeah, just stand there. He doesn't even know how to. Yeah, he knows how to do nothing. He's horrible, and he's disgusting to look at. He's got that Audi belly button that's gross.
I forgot about this. I forgot about this return too. I forgot he did stuff outside of Jericho because I watched this organically, not knowing he was even in the match, and I right away was like, Ralphus?
Well, and did you know it was Ralphus when he showed up, JPO? Because everybody else on the commentary seemed oblivious, even though it was plainly Ralphus.
I did, yeah, sadly predicted.
Yeah, of course. No, that's Ralphus. We know. Nobody looks that disgusting. That's him.
Yeah. Dude, when your gut fucking gut prevents you from like getting in the ring, yeah, man. Maybe yes. I don't know.
You know what? Okay. You know what, Richie? Don't say that because never mind. I won't talk about an issue I had one time.
Okay. Look, I don't want to.
Things happen, Richie.
I was just gonna say, despite all this, they get into the ring. The match ends with a roll up.
And did a roll up.
Hardcore title match.
Yeah, Terry Funk rolls him up. The most dangerous move in professional wrestling, the schoolboy pin, and he wins.
And I'll still say,
and then Norman and Ralphus celebrate like they won.
Like they won. Like they won, and they did the wiggle. And Ralphus still looked like he didn't know where he was.
Yeah.
And
I will say on the Nitro after they have another match. They have a rematch with all three of these guys, which is
more no.
Yeah, they have a rematch. Oh yeah, and
why would you run it back?
And out of nowhere, Norman Smiley and Ralphus, if they lose, they're like out of the business or something. And Terry Funk beats them. And if I remember right, the storyline that follows is them going from arena to arena, trying to like sell popcorn or sell concessions or trying to get like back in the business. It's really bad.
Well, now I want to start.
Oh no, you don't.
Although Norman Smiley still WWE to this day, still a trainer.
Yeah, he's a trainer because he can work. Yeah.
And he is over. Like he's getting some pops.
No, that's what I mean. If it was just Funk and Norman Smiley, I'd be fine with it because like. The moments where Norman Smiley is him running away screaming from Terry Funk are kind of funny. Like it works. Like and yeah, he's over like with his dancing and shit. But
the
like,
wiggle.
No, Ralph was doing the wiggle was no good.
Yeah, he didn't know what he was doing.
Yeah, he's the most uncoordinated dude ever. Yeah, it's really bad.
Rikishi and Too Cool. This was not.
No, it was not. No, yeah. Well, let's move on. Yeah, it was bad. 10 minutes of pretty bad.
I'd still say one of the more entertaining matches on the show.
I said when Funk and Smiley were together, it was okay. Anytime Ralph was trying to do anything in this match, it was horrible. So,
I said it was because it's the only thing separate from not associated with the Millionaires Club and the
New Blood storyline. Yeah,
I did enjoy Funk throwing a chair at him, and it looked like it was about to take his head off.
He's a master at chucking chairs like 50 feet in the air and hitting people right on the head.
But one of those like chairs that have like those rigid legs that
it wasn't a fold-up chair, a non-folding chair.
That was scary.
Yes. So, all right, we'll move on to there was surprisingly a lack of in between match stuff, which I thought Russo was known for having like 50 backstage things in between every match, and it was pretty much just match to match to match for most of the night in this thing because I didn't have a lot of notes in between. So, yeah, we moved right on to the battle of who gets to be the perfect guy, I guess. Sean Stasiak versus Kurt Hennig.
God, this is bland.
Yeah, this was like the most milquetoast heel versus face, like 6-minute match you'll ever see. Like it's the work rate, like they didn't botch anything. They just did moves. And then like I will say this. Sean Stasiak, there was no interference, no shenanigans. Sean Stasiak, a clean pin on Kurt Hennig. He hits the perfect plex and wins clean. Completely clean.
He clean pins him, hits Kurt Hennig with his own move and makes Kurt Hennig look like a geek because Kurt Hennig.
Yeah. But hey, it was a clean finish. Nobody interfered. You know what? I couldn't complain that much because my God, did we get a lot of interference later on in the show. But it was, it was literally the most nothing happening like 6-minute TV match you'll ever see on a pay-per-view. You know what I mean? This should have been like
that's what I was with. These next two matches scream like this should have stayed TV.
Yeah.
Thunder maybe even. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because like again, nothing like you said, nothing bad about it. And in fact, I was actually slightly impressed by Stasiak because I just don't remember him outside of that shitty last WWF run where he's the job gets eliminated in the Battle Royal first. No, I barely even remember, but like I just remember him being like the job guy of the invasion. Eliminating the Battle Royal first, the Survivor Series and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, oh, he's actually like holding his own. And I don't remember this perfect gimmick that he was kind of trying to do. But yeah, like you said, it was just nothing special.
Yeah, there's a segment they go back to on that Thunder over and over again where he's trying to like break the free throw shot record or something. And it's just him botching it over and over again, but like acting like he's winning. I don't know. It's really stupid. I fast forwarded every time they went to it.
I forgot about this gimmick because when the kind of the version of the Mr. Perfect's theme song came on, I was like, oh, this is a surprisingly lackluster reaction for Mr. Perfect, and I'm like, oh,
same reaction. I had the exact same reaction.
And then it was like Sean Stasiak. I'm like, oh,
Stasiak's music.
Yeah. So yeah, there's not much to say about this match other than the anomaly that it was the one clean finish with nothing else happening on the show. Like no interference, no nothing. It was just a guy pinned another guy clean in the middle of the ring. So yeah.
That's how I feel too.
Yeah. That's how Jacob felt during the last match.
This one I agree is just it was
Oh my God. Literally all but one match on my next page of notes has the interference asterisk next to it. So yeah, they all
by the way, fun fact, this is where I fell asleep.
Oh, okay.
and I woke up 3 matches later. I'm sorry, Austin. I did not rewind.
That's fine. Well, actually, I'll say you missed a pretty good match. Actually,
I have a feeling I know which one.
There's one match on here that's actually pretty damn good, other than the finish. The finish sucks. But yeah, the actual match.
It's very easy to know which one you're talking about.
Yeah. So, but the next match was before it started. Hugh Morris comes out for his match with Scott Steiner, his U.S. title match, and declares that he hates the Hugh Morris gimmick, and he has a new name he wants to be known as Captain Hugh G. Rection.
Well, first he says he doesn't like the fact that Hugh Morris is just a joke. Yeah. So
now I'm going to be Hugh G. Rection. So get it, people? Get it?
Yeah. While the other members of Misfits in Action, Chavo, Lash LaRue,
Van Hammer's in the audience.
Van Hammer's in the audience, but they're only there as fans because apparently not allowed.
They're fired. Which that storyline, I went through the Nitro storyline. That storyline wasn't in there, so that must have been the week before because I didn't see any of that on any of the other things. So I don't know. But yeah,
there's a funny botch in here too. We'll get to
yeah. So yeah, it's basically the Erection versus Scott Steiner, and I was also going to say if you like boobs, you should watch this match because Madeja and Shakira had their boobs way out in this match. So on the outside, and so I will say this. Yeah, there's a botch early on. But like I thought it was a decent Haas fight, like for the most part. Like I thought these guys like did some okay, like big scary mean guy stuff. Like Scott Steiner, for Hugh Morris is not a small guy. He's like 260, 270. He's a pretty tall guy. Dude, Steiner suplexed him like 3 or 4 times in this match and just right on his head, like ridiculous. Like he was like there was some decent stuff in here, I thought, at least for the most part.
No, well, actually, the botch I was going to talk about was actually right there. It's like he's meant to. I think Steiner's meant to roll away from the moonsault. He doesn't roll
Oh
away.
my god, he lands right on
He
his head.
doesn't roll away the whole time, and then I get huge erection hits like knees him right in the fucking head.
Oh yeah, no, right in the back of the head because he rolls away and he's on his stomach and then his legs ran right on top of his head. Yeah, that was the one botch. But yeah, I mean, I think it's just because I don't. He just did a moonsault to halfway in the middle of the ring. It was pretty impressive though for what it was. Like that dude could hit a moonsault.
Oh yeah, the knee to the face moonsault.
I mean, knee to the face moonsault. Yeah. But like other than that, like the suplexes look good. These guys were chopping the hell out of each other and forearm the hell out of each other. Like I didn't think it was that bad. Was it just me? I thought it was an okay like
no,
Haas
it was
fight.
all right. If you judge it on comparisons to the other ones, it was one of the better matches. So yeah, I liked it.
I didn't dig too much of it. I think it was also pretty boring at parts, and yeah, I don't know. I didn't really get into this. I was into the last one actually more than this one.
But then so at the end there's interference. So Booker T comes out to save.
Well, he came out after the match, but I was just gonna say it counts as interference because the two girls were interfering the entire match, like right in front of the referee. Like we should say that there's interference and weapon shots, and there's by the way, 8,230 low blows on the show. Like, oh my god, everybody in every match is low blowing everybody. Holy shit, just low blows there. But it goes to Russo around this time, like did some promo where he was like, this is a new WCW, and we're not gonna like disqualify people for like low blows and whatever. Like it's like a new WCW. We don't do that. Like we're gonna let guys fight. So like that's why on every match there's weapon shots and interference and low blows and like none of it. It's all right in front of the referee and nobody cares. Yeah, like there's basically no rules. Every match.
What were the two random chicks' names again?
Medeja, who's still on Twitter, she is a fitness instructor, and the other girl, Shakira, who was there for like a month. And
Shakira, okay, I got to say, Shakira's the one I was like, who dis?
Medeja was with Scott.
If that was a who dis on
WWT,
I would have been.
So yeah, Medeja was with him for a while.
Medeja, I look familiar.
Yeah. So
Booker T, Seattle, by the way.
Oh, Booker T, came out after the match and attacked Scott Steiner and whatever.
Yeah. Also, I don't know if it's on this match, but I'm not saying there can't be any redhead referees, but like just because I haven't seen any redhead referees.
Yeah, he's the one.
It was distracting.
That's not Jamie Tucker, is it?
Yeah. I forget the guy's name, but yeah, he was around WCW around this time, and he was all over the place. But yeah, they had at least 5 referees that I saw because it was the redhead, Mickey J, Charles Robinson, Nick Patrick did the hardcore match, and then the other guy who's in the Ready to Rumble movie in the first match, that other dude. His name, but I forget his name. But
yeah, But so Booker T comes out, but then the announcers go, "Oh, this is a Booker T. He was meant to be in this match, and then got taken out." I'm like, why couldn't you just have this? I mean, I like you, Morris, but why didn't you have this Booker T and Scott?
That probably would have been a better match. Yeah.
Yeah.
He got a decent pop. People like Booker T. They still like Booker T. So I don't know. He had an okay part. But anyways, that was it for that. Yeah, Steiner won with the Steiner recliner. And then we went on just to another match. Like I said, there's not much in between. Like I took notes when there's something in between. There really wasn't anything. Mike Awesome versus Canyon, and I'll say up until
this was the best match.
This match was awesome. I liked it. Because these guys had a fucking ECW match. That's what they did. These guys had a Mike Awesome, almost Masada Tanaka like ECW match. Like it was awesome. Like I liked this match a lot actually. I thought this match was good.
Yeah.
There was one scary spot where Mike Awesome powerbombed Canyon on his neck.
Oh my god, he about killed him because he dropped him like right on his head. Oh my god, it was scary. Yeah, I thought he killed him. But yeah, I mean they basically like they brawl around, they use a bunch of chairs. Yeah, Awesome's powerbombing him all over the place. Canyon's like hitting a bunch of good moves. Like it was basically an ECW match. Like they had an ECW match, a really hard-hitting match with a lot of good moves. Like it was a good on its way. It was like a good 3-star match heading on its way to be 3.5, maybe even 4 until they just Kevin Nash comes out and it becomes a brawl and the match like goes nowhere in the contest. And I'm like, fuck, man. Like this was the best match on the show. The crowd is like super into it. Like, especially like once they get going, the crowd was like really, because they were like, oh my God, hey, this match is really good. Let's get into this. Like these guys are killing it. And it was Mike Awesome being used properly. He's doing the dives over the ropes. He's doing all this shit. And then like they just shit the bed. Like right at the end, it's just like Kevin Nash comes out and like for reasons, and then like everybody else comes out, and it's a big brawl, and it's
And
stupid.
then, to go with your low blows right at the end. Daphne low kicks. It's one of the Daphne kicks. Yeah. Hits in the balls. Yeah. One thing I noticed. Yeah, I'll get to it. One thing I noticed about this one is it's like the baby faces could not get one. It was impossible for the baby faces to get like their comeuppance on a heel. The heels had to get the last laugh every time,
every single time. Yeah.
But yeah.
Otherwise, no, I'm with you guys. Though it was a good one. Two guys going out, hitting each other, hitting a lot of cool moves. Unlike Stasiak and Morris too, this kind of shows you like the potential that could have been. You know what I mean in the future for these two. You know, if we had continued or if we saw more in them.
You could tell they liked Mike Awesome. Like they were actually pushing him around this time as like a semi almost on the brink of a main event guy. Like his career his gimmick around this time was the career killer, which is what it should have been. Like it was just him powerbombing dudes all over the place and like doing that. And then not long after this, it became Thriller and that 70s guy.
Yeah, no, I mean he was a big take from ECW at the time.
And they shit the bed with him just like everybody else. And Canyon's a good worker. So like you put these guys in there and gave him 10 minutes or so to like just work, and like it was you could tell Canyon probably put this match together. Like most likely, he probably like called this whole thing. They probably gave him 10 minutes to do their thing. But yeah, it was on its way to being awesome. And again, why did we have to have the interference? Mike Awesome couldn't beat Canyon, like really, or Canyon couldn't beat Awesome, realistically. Like why? Why couldn't one of these guys get a win?
Overthinking Russo booking,
Yeah, it's overthinking. Like Mike Awesome could have definitely beaten Canyon.
It's just unnecessary.
Yeah, it's unnecessary.
Yeah, but I mean, not to bring it down, but yeah, I couldn't bring like. It's just a shame both these people like passed quite early on and kind of in similar circumstances. I was like, that's unfortunate, but yeah, I feel like both these in their careers deserved a lot better than they got because I feel like WCW went on, Canyon could have been like at least like an upper mid, he could have even pushed the title. I think he's really good, he underrated. Mike Awesome also underrated. Yeah, like they should have stuck with that gimmick and not made him. Yeah, like they're trying to inject more. I think they were maybe trying to inject more personality in him or something or other. I don't know what they're trying to do. But that he's supposed to. He's an ass kicker. That's his gimmick. You don't have to make him a fucking a fat chick Thriller or that 70s guy. Whatever you're doing, just like whatever. Like he's one of those dudes that like just have no gimmick. And just have him being an ass kicker. That's what you should have done. But you kind of but by trying to change him, you kind of hurt his career. But yeah.
Yeah, and then they definitely did nothing with him even when they brought him in the invasion. Holy crap, did Mike Awesome do?
Yeah, like he was gone quickly as he
and Canyon got a little bit of a push in the invasion. He was like U.S. champion or something for a little while. They let him do the who better than Canyon, thing, like which was getting over it at one point. Like it was pretty decent. And then just they did nothing with it. And two guys that you kind of wasted. So yeah, it's a shame because they're both good workers. And I think this showed it. If you watch this match. Jacob, you missed a pretty good match when you fell asleep. I thought this match was pretty damn good.
Yeah, I'd go back and watch it if you get time.
Yeah, I would watch this one. This was good. But all right, we go on to another very bland, nothing happening basic match with Lex Luger and Buff Bagwell.
Package.
And we're back to WC Dub.
Oh yeah, the total package. And anybody remember when people used to like Buff Bagwell in like 1998 when he was awesome? And like he came back after he broke his neck, and he just wasn't as awesome. Like for some reason,
he just wasn't. He just wasn't as good of a wrestler at all, and it showed. And he still had the charisma, but it just wasn't. I don't know.
It just wasn't the same. Something was missing, but I mean they're just hitting each other with bats the whole match, and then like Russo's bringing Liz out, and then they were doing this whole thing where he owned Liz's contract, so he was like handcuffed to her all the time. It was stupid and. So
before the match, they did there was a backstage thing, and it's like, oh, your dress looks like a tablecloth.
Tablecloth. Oh, there was one funny moment though where then Liz grabbed the bat, hit him in the leg, and he just goes, "Bitch." I thought that was kind of funny. Like Russo could be funny as like a heel authority figure asshole guy. Like I thought he was okay in that role. He just was
bro, come on, bro.
What, bro? I mean,
bro.
He was definitely hateable as like an on-screen personality. Like I thought he was okay in that role.
I'd hire him to like lead a stable. Like he could be Tony D'Angelo's manager.
But as long as you had him do nothing with the booking, like it's like
you're just that's what I'm saying. Lead a stable is all I'm saying.
Yes,
do nothing with the booking because like as we'll see, like I I don't think he allows himself to be vulnerable or weak. Or at least,
Well, there
at
was
least-
one notorious thing where Ric Flair had him in a figure 4 in a cage match for like 2 minutes and he didn't tap out, like at all. Like it's pretty notorious. Like he just didn't, he didn't sell stuff, or like people would hit him with stuff and he'd be up like a minute later. Like, cause he's not a wrestler either. Like he didn't know what he's doing. But yeah, he would refuse to let himself be like look bad. Yeah, it was really like, I don't know, it was really bad. So yeah, anyways, this match is bland. It's very, very basic. Luger wins, and then Chuck Palumbo makes his debut from the power plant, fresh from the power plant, to steal his gimmick, much like, because we didn't already have that match earlier with Sean Stasiak and Kurt Hennig fighting over a gimmick.
Yeah, we did that thing.
Chuck Palumbo wanting to be
so nice. Let's do it twice.
The new total package. Yeah, and literally the next pay-per-view of Great American Bash, they have a Lex Flexor on a pole match. The flexi like thing that Lex Luger used to have to workout equipment and Chuck Palumbo's trying to be the new total package. He comes out the next night on Nitro and does like his entrance and shit. It's like, because we literally just had that gimmick though in this other match a few matches ago. Like, this is stupid. Yeah.
I mean, we talked about how Buff wasn't the same after his injury, but like, I remember when like Lex like when the title WCW from Hulk Hogan, like he was really cool, and but like 2000s Lex is very boring.
Yeah, I was gonna say y'all are harping on Buff. Let's not. Let's not. It takes two to tango, and
2000s Lex because it doesn't look like he wants to be there at all.
Yeah,
probably not.
Even his face too, like when he's just standing there, he's just gonna be like, you don't want to be here, do you?
He's just going through the motions. Yeah, he's collecting.
And not that Luger was ever a 5-star classic guy, but
like there was something like his likability about it. He had star power.
Well, he had star power. He had some energy. Like the night he beat Hogan, like he knows how to fire up, almost like Sting. Like he has that charisma to do it, and the crowd like went nuts. Yeah, and he had like a fire to him at least. He wasn't the greatest wrestler, but he had that. He was a star. Like people dug him when he would rack people, bro. Like people went crazy. Like back in the day, dude. He put somebody up on the torture rack, people go nuts.
He was still over here, but he was just bored. He was just like,
I think that's why they paired him with Flair for a little while, or he's kind of half with Flair on a lot of these shows. They had like a tag team sort of thing, because I think at least Ric Flair still had like that fire and that charisma, to kind of, and Lex was like the muscle, but yeah, it was just whatever. So this match had interference from Chuck Palumbo. So yeah, and Russo and everything else in between. So yeah, this one gets the
this is because this is one right. So this is the one where you had no, that's on the next thing. Hang on, but you had so Buff got the torture rack put on him after Liz got involved, and you're like, oh, cool. The baby face gets this comeuppance, but no, we can't have that. We can't have the
heat.
We can't have the baby. We can't have a feel good story. No. We can't have the man kid as get the girl back. No, so that's when Chuck Palumbo comes in, and then and I don't know I don't know that personally, but if you look at like the way Vince Russo writes women, I think there might be an issue there. Just saying.
Oh, you think?
Yeah.
He treats them as dogs. Yeah, you think?
Yeah. Watch like Russo TNA. This is another one where it's like, it's like, why can't it just be a happy moment? And there was one, but it's like, I know why, like, one the heel didn't get their comeuppance because of who it was, but we'll get to it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and we moved on to another match that apparently is 7 years in the making, and then it's just a random match on this pay-per-view for the franchise: Shane Douglas versus Ric Flair, which also had almost no build on the week before.
Ric Flair didn't even have his gear on.
No, he wrestled in his pants, in his Gucci pants, and his shirt. Yeah, he didn't even bother to put his gear on for this one.
Remember that promo from '94? Here's your payoff.
Yeah, here's your payoff. Yeah, I remember that promo where he threw the NWA title in the garbage and mentioned Ric Flair. Yeah, that's here's your payoff for anybody that knows about that around this time. And the crowd certainly didn't care or know.
Don't have footage. We can't really show it, but
no, yeah, again. the work in this match, not bad.
Yeah.
It's very, very old school, like very heel versus face, very, very old school.
Which
but
you
like,
would expect, yeah.
But Flair has charisma. The crowd's into him. Like they like him. It's in Kansas City. They like Flair, but there's 3,000 low blows in this match too. They're just low blowing each other left and right near the end, and Shane Douglas beats him after Russo and a fake Sting, which turns out to be David Flair, interfere in this match.
Well, first of all, a fake Sting comes out, and then Tony Schiavone goes, "Oh, it's Russo," and I'm like, which begs the question: why is he dressed up there?
Yeah.
Well, if we all know who he is, why are you bothering to dress up at all?
Yeah.
Why are you being a fake Sting? Look, I know you are.
Because it was a swerve, Richie.
Okay, what's the point? And then it's like then it's David Flair. But then again it was Luger gets involved, and then there's a whole thing, and then this is one where Russo can't make himself look weak, so they there's like a back shot, and that's where or a chain shot or something. That's where Rick gets pinned, and then he gets hit with a bat a couple of times. And it's like, and then Rick gets up, and it's like, no, come back here. You got 5 minutes with me, and then then they beat him down some more, and then because we need to make WWE references. Rick Russo goes, suck it. Yeah, and then because he can't. Yeah,
well, and eventually there's like a timer on the screen for 5 minutes, but eventually that just goes away because 85 people run into the ring and like it's a big brawl. So like they just abandon that pretty much immediately, so to where Russo just beats him up, with the help of a whole bunch of other people, and it's not good. It's very overbooked. It's just like every other match on this thing that just turns into a big brawl and it's overbooked and everything just kind of ends. So had you woken up at this point, Jacob, or was it?
Yeah, I saw this one, and my big takeaway from this is Vince Russo and David Flair get one up on Ric Flair and Kevin Nash.
Yeah, that's pretty much, what happens on the next night on Nitro? David
thing?
Flair and Vince Russo get the one up on Ric Flair and Kevin Nash. It's the exact same thing where they tease. Ric Flair teases that David Flair might turn his back on Russo by saying, "I can call Vince McMahon right now and get you in WWE." And he holds out his phone. And so David Flair goes, "Ooh, that sounds good." And Russo freaks out, but then it's a swerve because then David Flair just hits him. Like, right.
And you can tell,
really stupid.
I mean, you can tell throughout the show, you can tell, Tony Schiavone's supposed to act like he cares, like, oh my God, I can't believe David Flair would turn on. But I could tell, I can tell when someone's being genuine, someone who's like, you can tell he's just like, I can tell he's just going through the motions at this point. He's just over everything. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. And
like him in AEW?
I don't know. I like him in AEW. But
I feel like he doesn't add much in AEW. That's all just a separate subject.
But I don't know. I didn't like Mark Madden on commentary. I thought he's like fucking.
I do not like commentary.
I hated it.
Well, and Scott Hudson is like, because it's Russo and they want him to use like dirt sheet references or calling everybody, like they call people like them, and some of the promos, like they're always using words like marks and jabronis and like work and like, they're like using all and shooting. Like it's always like this weird thing where Russo had this like, we got to be edgy and use terms that like Smart Mark fans use, and it's like really awkward when it comes out on commentary, because then like the next night on Nitro, even Eric Bischoff is like, all you fans thought we it was real stupid when we put the belt on David Flair. It's like, wait a minute, I thought it was supposed to be wrestling. Like, it was supposed to be real. So you orchestrated that? Like, again, you're doing this weird shit where it's like we're exposing the business, but we're still trying to keep it kayfabe. Like, it doesn't work. Like,
it's very much ready to rumble.
Yeah, it's ready to rumble.
It's a real.
It's as real as we want it to be. Match to match. Some matches are real, some matches are not real. Literally, in some of the Russo stuff, it's like that. So this one's a fight. This one's not a fight. But we had our only other, from what I can tell, clean finish and clean match on the show, other than them using bats the entire time. Vampiro versus Sting.
Oh, God.
And Sting
Sure.
probably said, "No, I'm going over clean, motherfuckers, and I'm taking my, this win, and I'm not going to lose." Like, yeah, I can
Sting,
imagine that's what he said.
I'm going over clean, and I'm basically squashing Vampiro because
Basically,
Vampiro got
yeah.
fuck all offense in this match.
Well, probably because I think it was either the Nitro or the Thunder. Again, I can't remember. They just blend into my head. I think it was Nitro. Vampiro goaded Sting into going to a graveyard, a cemetery, which Sting went to in his wrestling gear, which was weird. Why wouldn't you just go in your street clothes, or at least in a trench coat or something? Like, at least put something more on than your trunk. And then they had like a very poorly lit brawl in a cemetery, which ended with Vampiro hitting him with like a shovel and throwing one scoop of dirt on him and walking away. So I guess he won that fight. And then I don't think we saw any of them on Thunder. And then we have this match, and I think eventually the next pay-per-view or the one after is the one where they have that one where they supposedly light him on fire. Does anybody remember that?
Oh yeah, I've seen clips of that.
Where it clearly wasn't Sting; it was clearly a dude in a giant fireproof outfit, like about 6 layers of fireproof stuff, that fell off the thing.
It's the Human Torch match.
Human Torch match, yeah, that was at I don't know if it was that or at Sold Out or whatever.
It was Great American Bash.
So it was literally
the next one.
Yeah, they kept this going. Yeah, even though Sting pretty much squashes him in this match and dominates the entire match. He beats the shit out of Vampiro in this match, like mercilessly. And then he Stinger splashes him like 4 times, hits 2 Scorpion Death Drops, and pins him clean in the middle of the ring like a geek.
And then after the match, if that was enough, he comes back like a dick and hits him with the bat.
Hits him with the bat again. Probably because Vampiro started getting up and he's like, "Bitch, you're gonna stay down." Here's another bat shot. Stay down. Yeah, it's like, why should I care that they're having a rematch at the next one? Like, Sting clearly dominated and is better than Vampiro in this match.
You mean to tell me that Sting is going to be involved in the shortest match on the card? I would have been like, no, that's not true. Sting, give him 15 minutes because Sting is awesome. No, he got less than 7 minutes.
Yeah.
And on paper too, I thought this was going to be one of the better ones.
Yeah.
He got less than Scott Steiner and Huge Erection.
They got
they might have known
the same. They got about the same as Sean Stasiak and Kurt Hennig, which was like 6 minutes. Yeah.
I mean, they might have known this was leading to more, but yeah, this is not a great.
It's not a good look because you
can
have Sting escape with a win or something, at least have a babyface go over. But yeah, like I feel like Vampiro should have gotten at least more than one move in this match. Like he gets literally nothing. Like Sting basically just beats the hell out of him for 6 minutes because he jumps him on the ramp and then just beats him up the whole match. Yeah.
And if winning wasn't enough, he sees that he's getting up. He's like, no, stay down. Goes back, hits it with the pipe one more time.
And going back to something Pat said before too, low blow by Sting in the middle of the match too. Like even just faces are throwing out low blows.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, there's low blows in every match.
That was very jarring to me to be like, Sting?
You did a low blow. You did a low blow.
Yeah, you all get low blows.
All right, I guess just everyone's doing it now. Like, you know what I mean? That's not very sportsmanlike.
Yeah. So, but yeah, a clean win for Sting, and why should we care about them? I don't know. And apparently, that's right. And on Nitro, Sting gets the blood gimmick where they drop it from the ceiling on him, and then he shows up on Thunder still bloody. So apparently, he didn't take a shower.
He didn't. He doesn't have showers in his house.
No, he didn't have a shower in his Sting layer. So yeah, he wears the same clothes and he
maybe he doesn't be spooky
stuff.
Like,
it's really weird. So we get another bit of overbooked nonsense. We get Billy Kidman, the most random match on paper you could ever see. Hulk Hogan defeats Billy Kidman, which is just like, if you didn't know anything about WCW about this time, like what was going on with the New Blood and Millionaires Club, and you just saw these results like randomly, and I think you'd be like, Hulk Hogan wrestled Billy Kidman? That's
on pay-per-view?
On pay-per-view. Like, what? That's weird. Yeah. I'll say this. The crowd, again, was pretty hot for most of the show. I'll give the crowd credit. The crowd was into a lot of the matches, as overbooked as they were. And they really liked the old school guys. They liked Ric Flair. They liked Kevin Nash. They liked Sting. And they liked Hulk Hogan. They liked a lot of the old school guys. They dug them. And so they were into Hogan for a lot of this match. And I will say, I thought Hogan had a lot of fire in this match. Like, he looked like he was actually trying.
It looks like he's trying to go. Like he's trying to go for the first bit.
Yeah, he's going.
Yeah.
Like he's not lazy here. Like he's going.
Not having a very slow Hogan match. He's trying to go.
He's trying to go pretty quickly.
With a young kid.
Kidman's doing all of his stuff around him. He's doing missile drop kicks. He's doing, this, that, and the other. Like he's throwing himself all over the place, like Shawn Michaels did for him at that SummerSlam. Like he's bumping up for him all over the place. But it had a thing that I hate, which is a heel referee with Eric Bischoff. Which sucks.
Because that was like, I don't know, like there was just multiple times where I know, like you've probably said the president, like we don't do low blow here or whatever, or we don't, but there's multiple times where you could have just, a heel ref just DQ'd him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, or fast counted him, which he doesn't do several times either. Like you think, he could just roll him up immediately and just fast count him. Like, I hate the heel ref thing because it's so inconsistent. Yeah, it literally, if you wanted to, I think Hogan hits a low blow in this match just like everybody else, or uses a weapon. He could have just been like, "Hey, don't use weapons. You're disqualified." Like, you could have easily done that. But yeah, Hogan had a lot of table trouble in this match.
Yeah,
one of them, the leg broke before he could get it in there. And then the other one, he couldn't get the leg down to push it in the ring. He had a lot of table issues. But I will say, the power bomb he did to Bischoff through the table looked pretty good. It was a pretty solid bomb. Table exploded real good. Crowd dug it, and then Hogan went over. So for the most part, the crowd enjoyed it because Hogan got a win and put Eric Bischoff through a table, and the crowd was pretty happy with this one. Even though there was a lot of shenanigans with it. But yeah, what'd you guys think?
Is Hogan supposed to be a full-on babyface here? Or is he like is it the case of my enemy of your enemy is my friend?
No, he's a full-on babyface on the previous shows too. Like he's all in with this millionaires thing where he's like
he's not like
because him, Ric Flair, and Sting and Kevin Nash are kind of the big millionaire baby faces, and they're all baby faces, like legit on the shows. Yeah. And then they have their allies, which are like the mid-card guys that are with them, like Canyon, Perfect, Chronic, one or two other guys. And then and then everybody else is like new blood, basically. The DDP, DDP is one of the faces too of it as well. But yeah, no, he's full on. It's just weird though, because they're like half calling him Hulk Hogan, half calling him Terry Bollea, half the time.
I don't just be like, just be smarky like Terry Bollea.
Just be smarky. They're like Terry Bollea, is like, but he's coming out to Hulk Hogan music. It's like he's coming out to the American Made song. So, it's I don't know, but he's not. He doesn't want to do the red, white, and blue game. He's just doing he's wearing like biker clothes or whatever. He's just wearing black.
That's why I was like, is he still kind of he's just like wearing black.
He's baby facing on the other shows. So I mean, he's full on baby face. Yeah.
But and then this is one where I'll mention he puts he put like Kidman through a table, right? And then
he puts everybody. Yeah, he puts Kidman and Bischoff through a table.
But then he can't. Horace makes Bischoff count.
Horace makes Bischoff count the.
But so this is why I'm like every time the heel gets it, the baby face doesn't get their come up, their come up and but one person. That's Hulk Hogan because it's Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan gets the because you're not going to get one over on Hulk Hogan because he's Hulk Hogan.
And Sting, and I think Sting probably had that power.
Oh, Sting probably
as well. Yeah. So they both could win over. Yeah, pretty much. Clean or whatever.
At least Kidman got offense on Hulk Hogan a little bit.
No, I mean, I thought Kidman, this definitely boosted him around this time because this was his very brief singles run. And I think pretty much not long after this, he goes back to being part of the Filthy Animals, just being part of like a random stable on the show. Like he literally the next night on Nitro, he's back with Conan and Rey Mysterio, and they're just like messing with Kevin Nash. Like they go away from the Hulk Hogan thing almost immediately. So and they're just playing around with Kevin Nash. So
what's weird is that they've got a stable called the New Blood, and you think, okay, cool, they're going to push the newer guys. That's cool. But then you got like people in the New Blood like Jeff Jarrett and Scott Steiner and
I'm trying to think who else is on the show that's like not old school necessarily. Jeff Jarrett, because Jeff Jarrett's the champion, so he's like the face of your New Blood, but he's been wrestling since the 80s. Steiner's been around forever.
I'm all for stable new people, but also,
and they're both still going today, though. So give them credit.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, it's also out of whack too. But I understand. Around this time, obviously the the older guys are more over. But like, it's weird that a group called the Millionaires Club with older guys are the baby faces and newer guys, up and coming.
Yeah, you would think it'd be the opposite way, and that's why it was one of the worst feuds of the year, and I think won a lot of worst feud of the year and a lot of polls and stuff, because it should be the other way around. We should be rooting for all these new stars and all these old guys hogging the talent and hogging the screen. We should be rooting against them, but no, we're rooting for them and against seeing newer faces on television. Yeah, that's bad.
Yeah, we hate these new people. We love these millionaires, if we're totally not.
Yeah. So yeah, it's strange, but anyway, so we get to our tie-in match for Ready to Rumble, the literal same triple cage main event: David Arquette versus DDP versus Jeff Jarrett, and I wouldn't say this was boring. It was entertaining for the most part, but it was very gimmicky and very silly.
I feel like if you didn't know what was going to happen at the end, like you would have I feel like you would have guessed it was going to happen at the end anyway. Like it became very obvious.
It's a WCW show. It's a swerve, bro. So David Arquette turns heel. So okay, yeah, like that does. And by the way, on Nitro, they try to make it make sense. Again, saying it was like he was with them all along, which doesn't make sense at all. Because then why wouldn't you just have the belt on Jeff Jarrett the whole time? Like it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
they try to make it make sense, but it doesn't. So they're definitely booking on the fly here for the most part. But yeah, it's like, who didn't see David Arquette hitting DDP with the guitar at the end? Like at all, like who didn't see that coming?
Yeah, but there were moments here too. It's like, and I mean, sort of like he would, when David Arquette would take bumps, which was just one of those ones where it was like, oh, DDP accidentally hit him, or whatever, or it's like he took like one kind of like kind of very rough bump into the cage, but then like about 30 seconds later he's just back up. So he's not even a wrestler, a proper wrestler at this point, and he's not selling.
Yeah, he does the top rope splash that he misses, and he's kind of down for a few minutes, but then he's just kind of standing on the outside of the ring watching. Yeah, it's like, he's pretty inconsequential for most of this match, as he probably should be. I mean, but at the same time, it's like, then why is he really a part of it other than the ending swerve? Like he didn't really need to be in here, but okay.
Having the actor as your champ's a cool idea, bro. Yeah. But yeah, like you said, they very much worked around him and threw him in little spots. Yeah.
Also, if I was a wrestler, you're going to pay me enough to go on that hardcore war cage. Fuck that. That doesn't look sturdy enough.
Well, and when they were like running around on that second level with like the mesh,
second level, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, like I'd be like, holy shit, is this thing gonna hold? Like I feel like I'm gonna fall through immediately at any point. And then I think when they broke through that wall, I think that was legit. I don't think they were supposed to do that.
Yeah,
when they broke that side thing and like make it felt, that was scary. I thought, I was like, oh my god, because if they'd gone to any more momentum, they might have fallen out the side. That was really scary. And then when they tried to use the table, I was like, oh, that's not gonna work. Trying to set up a table inside of a net. That's not going to work. That's really silly. You can tell Cage, once they got it even halfway up, Page immediately just like half body slams it through the thing just quickly before it falls over. But yeah, there was one thing. That's right. The only thing I had written for this, other than what is Arquette wearing, which he's wearing some goofy fucking red superhero outfit, and then there was a promo before the thing where Jeff Jarrett called DDP a geriatric slap ass. I thought that was funny. So just the random slap ass things he was calling people around this time. But anyways, yeah, it's all just about the ending swerve. Yeah, Arquette hits DDP with a guitar, and then Jeff Jarrett also immediately hits him with another guitar with one hand. And DDP falls over. Jarrett wins the title. Then Awesome and Canyon, for some reason, come out and start brawling. Again, the setup, it's just for the bump, but like, why are they out there? You won. Your guy won. Your guy was victorious. Why do they need to be out there? I don't know. But
I agree.
That's the noise I was making when Chris Canyon got launched off of this cage into the crash pad, because apparently he had practiced it 3 times the day of, but like he still had to basically hit that thing dead on because it was just a sliver of that ramp that was a crash pad. So he still had to hit it dead on, and you could tell the crowd was like, "Oh, yeah, didn't Owen Hart just die a year ago?
Yeah, maybe
don't do that in this arena. Yeah, that's weird." but yeah, like it was still a little scary, even though obviously the place he landed on was very, very heavily padded. But yeah, it was still weird. It's still a crazy bump.
Yeah, one thing. Mark Banner on commentary keeps calling DDP Diddy me. Don't know why. What was that? Oh, is that a reference or something? Don't know.
To his book, I think DDP had a book around this time called Positively Page that he said it was all about me, me, me. Like I don't know something.
Okay, yeah, I was like, whatever. I'm supposed to get that joke, and then
yeah,
before this, Mean Gene does an interview with David Arquette, and Mean Gene asks him a weird question. He's like, wait, why aren't you? Your wife is a millionaire, Courtney Cox. So why aren't you come out with her? Like, what's that? What was that going to do with it?
Well, then he has to be like, hey, I've got my own money too. By the way, I'm an actor. It's he says something about because Courtney Cox, she's making $1 million an episode on Friends. What are you doing here? It's like we should be getting her instead. And he's like, hey, I'm kind of rich, sort of. I know she makes more money than me. Okay, moving on.
This is weird. I just struck me as a weird question. I'm like, okay, that's
a very strange question.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. I guess the only other thing I wrote down was like, okay, this WCW at this point is hemorrhaging money, but yet they still feel compelled to pay for a triple cage, and they somehow still fork out the money for Michael Buffer,
who is 100% at this time. I think he got 6 figures per appearance. I think he was getting like $100,000 per appearance, which is insane.
He was never great, honestly.
Yeah, he's really overrated. I think Bruce Buffer's better in UFC, and he probably costs much less money. So because Bruce Buffer, I don't think he's getting paid incredible amounts of money, but he probably makes 6 figures a year. He probably gets an okay living. So, but yeah, I think he's better, and he costs a lot less. So yeah, but yeah, they're still shelling out for Michael Buffer every pay-per-view, and it's absurd because you're paying him for one match. By the way, he doesn't do all the matches, just the one. Yeah. He shows up, talks for a minute, and then he's done. And you pay him an absurd check. Yeah, that's insane.
I would love to know how many more zeros in the regular ring announcer.
Yeah, I mean, because the guy they got is good. I mean, what's his name?
Dave Penza.
Yeah, Penza's a good announcer.
I do. Like he does impact still to this day. I do make fun of his cadence, but I like it.
Yeah.
But because of the loud music and stuff like that, you can barely hear him announce the wrestlers. It's like the music overpowers it. So it's like But again, I think Russo has these grandiose ideas for a match, and then doesn't realize that's so it can be so dangerous in comparison and expensive that they never really okay, this is cool for a one-off thing, but you can't do it regularly like they did in TNA where. I mean, there's a reason why you don't see many scaffold matches. In TNA, I remember watching a scaffold. It was a scaffold match between AJ and Rhino, and Rhino looked like he was shit scared to be up there. I was like, man,
probably most guys were that did scaffold matches.
Yeah, just you can't do much up there. It's really limited.
Well, and what do you do before that? The whole thing is just building up to the one spot you're waiting for somebody to fall off the scaffold. That's pretty much the whole thing. So, yeah.
And then there's I can't remember what it's called, but there's this X Division Asylum cage thing where there's a thing where Homicide couldn't get out of. It's this you had to climb through this hole. It's
and that was an important impact too. That was their Monday debut or something. It was something special too.
Yeah,
that was our first match. Look at the X Division. Homicide's like, God damn it.
Homicide's trying to get out of this hole, and he just can't. He can't do it. It's dangerous. If you got to hang upside.
Well, they curved it. They didn't. It's just not it's no longer a cage. You got to get out of. They curved it where you really needed finger strength and it was American Ninja Warrior. He wanted Homicide to be an American Ninja Warrior.
Yeah, and then. But there's just these things you can only do. I don't think we've seen many triple cage matches after this, have we? I don't think so. But
no.
And then before that, this is not even Russo. I think it's everything. Remember, early on in WCW, you had the Tower of Doom match, which
Battle Bowls and the Tower of Doom.
The Tower of Doom match is one of the worst matches I've ever seen.
You can't, and then there's that one where it's just Hogan and Savage have to fight everybody at Uncensored.
Yeah, you can hardly see what's going on. no one knew the fucking rules. It was so bad.
Well, there's a
Zeus was
reason
bad.
why they only did the Pujami prison match one time.
Oh, they've done it a couple times.
No, they've done it a couple times.
Really?
They've done it a couple times, but
Yeah,
yeah,
there's
no
one where
likes
it's not Kali's not even in it.
Yeah, I think the
And,
last time they did it was Jinder and
Jinder, they
Randy.
brought it back for
Oh,
Jinder.
that's
Actually, they've done it
right.
like sadly
That's
3
right.
times at least.
Pretty sure the first one didn't even have Kali in it.
Yeah, he was meant
Yeah.
to, but he had like I think that was when like people had elevated liver enzymes that and he took it taken out of the
That
match. So I think
happens
it was
every once in a
Undertaker
while.
and Big Show.
Yeah.
So yeah. Sometimes these gimmick matches just they don't work for a reason. But yeah, I don't know.
So Jacob, was this your first time watching a full like Russo pay-per-view or anything like that?
It was.
Yeah.
It was
First foray
painful.
into this era.
This honestly might have been mine. I was kind of tuned out at this point, like in real life, like in the time frame.
I'm probably the one out of the group that's most fascinated with this period, so I've probably seen the most of this period just because I followed along with Brian and Vinny when they were doing a lot of these Russo Nitros and stuff, and like just because I was more. It's more just fascinating to watch like his version of this Crash TV. Like I have to fit in 85 things, every show, and everybody.
I think Western with Regret just did Bash at the Beach.
Yeah, it's just like it's just interesting to watch a demise of a company like in real time, like make one bad decision after another. Like it's pretty interesting to watch because like it's not the same with ECW and stuff because they still had full crowds and like they were still doing interesting things and like that they just died because they just didn't have any money. But like, yeah, you watch WCW deliberately like one after another, one mistake after another, just sink themselves. Like they lost $60-something million in 2000. That's astonishing. Like $65 million in 2000. That's insane. That's an incredible amount of money that they lost, and that's why they immediately they only made it 3 months into 2001 and they were dead. So it's pretty bad. So.
But I do like to I like to go back before 2000 because it's like people that think 2000 was their worst year. That's what done them in. No,
99 was bad too. 99 was a really bad year.
That. Even in their good years, there were signs for that.
Oh yeah, there's really bad stuff every year. But I mean, at least in 97, 98, they were still doing record houses. They were still doing big giant arenas. 20,
the numbers were there.
40,000 people. They still had the pay-per-view buys. They were still making money. 98, they made more money. That was the most they ever earned in one year in 98. Like even though some of the shows were kind of bad, but yeah, like they were still making money, and then they just flushed it like not that long after that. 3 years after you have your record-breaking year, you're dead. So that's why I always say AEW, be careful. No matter how much money you get in a given year, you never know, man. You could be dead a year from now.
If you surveyed a normal wrestling fan in like 97, 98 and said, all right, 2001, WWF or WCW is going to be dead.
WCW would have won. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm saying as a fan, if you had said one of them said, you would have been like, oh shit, WWF's going to die, huh? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
100%.
yeah, because that's the way it looked for that time being, man. But
yeah.
Rough period. So, yeah, Jacob, we didn't start on the worst note. This is a pretty mediocre pay-per-view for a Russo thing. You kind of lucked out, actually. If the worst that happened to you is you fell asleep a little bit, that's probably pretty good. Because I could have made you guys watch New Blood Rising, which is a truly horrific pay-per-view.
Well, I can make watch Sin, which is pretty bad too.
Sin is pretty bad. Yeah, there's I think this next Great American Bash pay-per-view is really bad. Most of these are pretty notoriously bad. So I unironically picked one of the better ones, where there was at least a couple of these.
This was a better one than.
Yeah, this is about as good as
you're not really making Jacob too excited by saying,
right.
It only gets shittier from here.
I can't wait to watch the next one.
Yeah, look. If it's any consolation, it might be a bit of time between them. So you know what I mean, who knows?
Yeah. No, I won't do two in a row. If I win another prediction thing, we'll do
a good one.
Yeah, I'll do a good. I'll find a good show to watch, even if it's a good. I might even go back and find a good like WCW show from like '96 or something to watch, like something good, like from their heyday, or another good, Attitude Era, WWF show or something like that. Whatever, I'll find something decent. Like, I'll bounce back and forth. I'm not gonna do bad every single time. I promise. Not every time. We'll bounce back and forth. So it'll be that third one that I win that you have to worry. Then we'll go back to the bad. Then it'll be a bad.
We are circling the drain until we get to December, Dismember, aren't we? Yeah. We're going to do it basically that.
I mean, I'm just saying, when we get to December, that might be what we have to do. It's pretty inevitable. I mean, what else are you going to do in December?
I don't know. TLC.
Armageddon?
This one.
Armageddon? No. We're gonna do December at some point. We're gonna watch it.
Yeah.
We're gonna watch that infamous pay-per-view that had 2 matches going into the booking when it was announced, and then they made everything else up the day of. Yeah.
Listen, I'm busy. Sorry.
You're
I'm
busy.
not gonna be able to make
You
it.
gonna be sick that? You think you're feeling like you're gonna get food poisoning that day?
I have a feeling like I'm starting to feel it now, and it usually takes at least 6 or 7 months.
6 months to develop.
So that day, are you gonna intentionally go to a gas station and buy some gas station sushi and get sick? Is that what you're gonna do?
I think it happened to me at Buffalo Wild Wings recently, so watch out.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Or maybe. Yeah, I was looking and you.
Oh
You
shit! I
guys
dropped my
know-
hot dog on the floor. Wait, December. Picks back up.
Delicious.
I was looking
my
into
stomach
some
hurts.
things.
But at least I'm not watching December.
Right.
Mm.
So I was looking into some things. Do you know how many? So you guys can all just take a guess. How many individual title reigns there were in the year 2000 for the world
title?
world title?
Title. How many times?
I think this is a trivia question that
Not counting the times it was vacated. So just like how many times,
Oh yeah.
how many reigns were there?
I think it's in the 20s. I just want to say
22.
I'll say 28.
25.
It was actually only 19,
Oh, okay. Oh,
I
then-
win.
but it was also vacated 6 times.
Right. It was vacated a
And
lot.
5 of
'cause
those happened between January and May.
Because every time somebody got fired or was taken off a TV, or like there was a lot of times where Russo just stripped somebody of the title, like because he's mad at them.
I
Like,
think-
there was
I
a
think
lot
there
of-
was
And the last one was because Vince Russo was the champion, and he was like, "Well, I'm not a wrestler, and
he
I don't want
vacated
it."
it himself, and then he
But
won on
David
Nitro.
Arquette
I
couldn't
don't
do
want
the
to
same
drop the
thing.
title, bro.
Yeah.
David Arquette couldn't do the same thing.
Right.
But like,
No, Arquette did the rightful thing. At least he jobbed it to somebody, even in a
Yeah.
swerve.
Mm-hmm.
but like, I think there was one time too where he was just like, I don't know what the thing was, but he's just like, we're starting on a clean slate. Everybody who's champion vacates the title.
Everybody, they clean slated the entire roster and then had just random matches for the new belts. Yeah, it was really weird. Yeah, it didn't work either.
Yeah, and you guys are never gonna guess because I'm not even gonna ask. After Russo vacates it, Booker T defeats Jeff Jarrett in a San Francisco 49ers match.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
What's a San Francisco 49ers match?
I remember Jarrett's wearing a jersey. Is all I remember.
Yeah, it doesn't mean anything. They just had a match.
I'm gonna call the WCW hotline here in a second.
But when Russo won the title, he had football pads and a football helmet on when he crashed through the cage, though. I do know that. Yeah. And he touched the floor first to get out of the cage. That's why he won the title in the first place. So Vince Russo was a WCW.
But he still managed to, if you watch it back, he still managed to smack right into the barricade.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh. So, yeah, it was.
I can't get a hold of Mean Gene from the WCW hotline.
Oh, we're going to ask him. Yeah.
I
do know that.
By the
I do know
way,
that
Jordan,
New Blood Rising had a couple of wacky matches because New Blood Rising, if we had watched that, had the Judy Bagwell on a forklift match. They had the DNA match with like David Flair and Kidman or something. Like it was like a DNA match on whatever that was. There was a Viagra on a pole match with somebody where, like somebody was downing a bunch of Viagra because that was a big thing around 2000 was the Viagra jokes. Like every match had like a stipulation. It was really bad. Booker T and Stevie Ray had a feud over the letter T at the time.
Was that like when Ahmed Johnson debuted and he was
Ahmed Johnson was Big T. Big T, yeah.
Big
and
T.
they feuded over the T. Yeah.
Yeah, and he was
We're not
very
making this
out
up, Jacob. They feuded over who could use a letter in their name. So,
yeah.
So he had to be Stevie Ray?
No, it was just Big T
Just for
won,
bookers.
and then Booker T became GI Bro.
G.I. Bro.
Yeah, and it wore camouflage, and he was GI Bro. Yeah, bro.
What up, bro?
He was GI Bro, bro.
You're GI Bro.
You're gonna be GI Bro. It's gonna be a good gimmick, man. You're gonna be GI Bro, which was a gimmick he really had for like a month in his earliest career, and then they brought it back. He was GI Bro again. Yeah, this is what was going on around that time, Jacob. Don't you want to go back and watch like Thunder?
No.
or something? No.
Nope.
Hey, if you don't
want
mind,
to, you don't want to go watch that Thunder where they had 7 matches with no referees because that was what because Russo said we're going to do it New York style tonight with no referees.
Funny enough, no.
No,
and hey, don't worry.
Wait,
if you don't
what?
want to
Hold on, go back. There's a Thunder where there's no refs.
you didn't.
Yeah, the
you
one-
didn't-
the
you
one
didn't hear about
before-
this?
the one before,
the Thunder right
the
before
one before
Slamboree
the
because I
pay-per-view.
watched them. The Thunder right before the pay per view. Russo says tonight we're going to do it New York style, and every match was a Millionaire Club versus New Blood match, like either 1-on-1 or a tag match or whatever. None of them had referees. So that's what New York style means. No refs the whole
How
night.
did shit end?
The guys would hit like a big move and count their own pin.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, Jacob, don't worry. If you don't like Russo WCW, I'll switch it up if I win. I'll get you
Russo
Russo
TNA?
TNA.
Oh
Oh,
god.
no.
You got to make sure it's something available on like YouTube because I don't have
Yeah,
TNA+.
There usually is because they upload a lot of shit.
Jesus Christ. Oh, we're gonna watch like a King of the Mountain match or a reverse battle royal or some shit like that.
Yeah.
The reverse battle royal. You ever seen that one, Jacob? Where they start on the outside of the ring and they work their way in? Yeah, that's really stupid.
At least they like.
They're still
make
doing
fun
it.
of
Shark
themselves.
Boy won like a few months ago.
God damn it! Why?
Yeah,
It's. I think now they embrace it. I think now it's
they
like
make fun of
it's
themselves now.
our
Like,
shitty staple.
yeah, like Shark Boy won the last one. It was funny.
Yeah.
Oh my god,
Guys, I like wrestling. Don't ruin it for me.
Guys, this podcast made me quit wrestling.
Dude, like, I've got to watch this stuff. I think one of my strengths for the next. I'm just going to give it away now. One of my strengths for our match at Combat Wrestling is going to be wrestle crap. So there you go.
Hey,
There
don't steal my strengths.
I could do
Appreciate
that.
it.
But like we have a strength every time. Different strength every time. You can have it regularly. It can be your thing, that majorly. But I just want it for once. Well, give me it once. And watch me get something wrong because
we should watch it.
Anyways, next week we're hopefully predicting what should be 2 decent shows in Night of Champions and
or nothing, which has matches on it now.
Does it?
yeah. So
Yeah,
yeah,
it has more than 2 matches. It's actually got a few.
Okay, all right.
yeah. So we'll be
Yeah, Night of Champions, including the world champion not defending. And,
That's what
Yeah,
we
we
talked about.
talked
That.
about that.
We said, yeah, it's a Night of Champions, except for one champion.
Yeah,
Except for your biggest one, where you're not defending that.
who decided he doesn't have enough belts? He wants another. He wants another 2.
Another one. Yeah,
watch him take it too.
yeah. I might predict.
Switch 'em out.
I might spoil my predictions. I might take that prediction. We'll see. I'm not above it at this point. After what they did,
New York rules: no refs, matches end
No
by
refs.
pinfall submission. Wrestlers count their own pins and check for submissions.
Yeah. Well, there weren't any submissions. They didn't do that, but there was one where a guy countered his own count out. So yeah, when the other guy ran away. Yeah.
It's like, were they in New York at the time? Why do you call it New York rules?
They weren't in New York. It was just because Russo's a New York
Vince.
guy.
It's Vince Russo. Hey, bro.
Russo, hey, bro, I'm from.
I've never
Brooklyn,
seen Tony
yo.
D'Angelo do that in NXT.
Yeah.
No one should ever do it ever.
Well, they need to have a New York rules match with no refs. And count your own pin. And by the way, everybody that counted their own pin that night did it like normal instead of just doing them. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, no one healed it out. That's great.
No, literally DDP like cuttered somebody and then went 1, 2, 3. So what if the guy kicked out? Would you stop your own pin?
Oh, damn it. Oh,
Oh,
would you get mad at yourself? Hey, that was 3.
Oh, God damn it, that was 3. What the shit?
Let me tell you something, myself.
It seems Russo said early on, fans don't care about refs, fans don't care about DQs, fans don't care about finishes, fans don't care about interference, whatever. So he literally worked that in his promotion and killed it fucking dead. Because when there's no rules to break. So then nothing matters. So that's why there was 1,000 low blows on this show. Everybody was using weapons all night, because there was no rules. Like it didn't matter.
Yeah, that was one of my problems with the pay-per-view is that I think if you actually gave it a little more structure, it could have been a lot better because a lot of shit just blended in. You know what I mean? Like even Hogan Kidman, while not bad, felt like kind of a brawl, which we also got in Douglas and Jarrett, and like you know what I mean, or Douglas and Flair. Like it just felt kind of the samey. A lot.
I couldn't remember half of the finishes because I was just like somebody interfered and something happened. Like that's what every finish was.
Everybody's got an entourage, interference all around. Yeah.
So WCW around this time, every time there was almost a finish, everybody, if you look in the crowd, was looking to the entranceway to see who was going to run
Someone's
down.
music. Oh, Wolfpack.
Right.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
And usually when you hear the Wolfpack theme, it wasn't. It was just Nash. Like and it'd take half an hour to get to the ring.
Oh, the best thing is if you watch the Thunder and Nitro, trying to watch Conan and Ray try to run slowly away from lumbering Kevin Nash. Kevin Nash barely walking fast at all because of his bad knees, and Conan and Ray trying to act like they can't completely run faster than him. Like, it's like a horror movie. Trying to act like they can't run away from this lumbering oaf.
Well, that was one big minus to this pay-per-view too. Well, probably around this era as well. It was like, so you got a cruiserweight title, and so the representation is Candido, who's really good, but then Prince Ikea, who's not good. But then one of the big selling points of WCW for a long time was the highlight of the cruiserweight division. You had Psychosis, Juventud, La Parca, and all these great people who can have banging matches. But then you didn't have any of these. So you could have had a banger cruiserweight match, and you did it. You could have at least had some reprieve and had a banger cruiserweight match. But yeah, like Rey Mysterio and that one down the show. So
yeah, no, a lot of wasted opportunities. That's what the Russo era was. Yeah.
Let's hope there's not wasted opportunities next week, because I have high hopes for both of those shows. And we will talk about those next week. But in between now and then, Jordan, where can people find you?
The Periscope channel. Me and Pez, maybe sometime soonish, are fighting in the semifinals of the King of ASAT trivia tournament. We made it to the semis. Only one of us will be making it to the finals. And other trivia and fun stuff on that channel.
Wow, Jordan made it far in another tournament. He's running.
Yeah.
I have guest hosts.
Speaking of weird wrestling things where the booker is the promoter and promotes himself as the winner. Yeah.
I just want to play every once in a while, man.
And the booker makes himself a champion. That's
you
always
can pick the guest host, Pez. I keep it fair.
That's always good for business.
And always puts me against the same chat. It always puts me against the same person 9,000 times.
Hey, just because y'all didn't make it past round one doesn't mean you got to make us feel bad for making it in the semifinals. Still didn't make it past round one because we're in the tournament.
Yeah. Okay. Richie,
I don't want
Jacob. I'll do it for you.
What's his name who did yours and John Mars match? What's his name?
Aaron.
Yeah, not Aaron. Anybody else? I don't want to answer Romeo and Juliet questions, so somebody else.
Oh no! I do want to answer him. No, I had it.
I don't. He asked a lot of obscure shit that I don't want to talk about.
He did.
So, yeah, no.
Our scores were bad.
Yeah. When it was like 7-5, dude. Like I pride myself in averaging at least double digits on these things. I don't want to fail miserably.
So what was it? What was that on? What was that on?
JPO and John Moore.
JPO.
Follow my channel, Richie.
Oh yeah. That's right. I was yeah. I know.
Maybe I'll request Jacob Barber to write and host that match.
No, I tried that once and it didn't work out. He hit a theme and then fucked me and Turner over, but Turner won. That's the whole thing.
Yeah, but that was the finals. This is the semifinals.
So you'll be serious. You'll be serious on the semifinal. Oh, okay. Wait, I do usually like your questions though, actually lately. So
yeah, I don't think you've lost a movie match that I've written this year.
Barber's in.
They're all 20 questions about tremors and aliens.
All right, you can find me not in the. I'll just fucking give it not in the Full Metal tournament because fucking Brian Nussbaum go. Anyway, buddy.
Why can't you beat him? I beat his ass in JPO's tournament. Why can't you beat him?
I don't know. He just.
I mean, he was like close to me for a little while, but then I beat his ass near the end. Like, why couldn't you do that, Richie?
He's got a verse Bill Carriola who'll kick his ass. So, so yeah, no, I don't know. I was doing it. Even Jordan Anderson actually did better than me too. So anyway, it was all right. This channel tournament fights. I think T rank tomorrow. 90s animation. It would be tough to whittle that down. Telema streaming. The next episode will upload this week is Hell Riders, which is a weird bikie movie with Adam West. And that next one we're doing is called Head of the Family, which is weird new movie. Yeah, weird movie. It's
just another, from what I could tell, another full moon movie.
Full moon
like
movie. I was
Charles
going to say
Band.
new movie. Yeah, full moon movie. So check that out. And yeah, I'll be back at Combat Wrestling Trivia soonish, taking on Joakib Vaba. And
I never agree to that.
yes, I keep saying that you
I
are.
don't understand how one person can say, "Hey, I want to play that guy," and then the other guy just has to go along with it.
Yeah, look, like talk to the boss, but I think it's happening. I'm willing it into existence by saying it's happening.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
All right.
Austin, what do you got?
Just Movie Hero Network, and I think we're doing a draft on Sunday night of comedy movies. Jacob will be on that. That'll be fun. So it'll be for our Patreon, but we'll live stream it when it goes live. If anybody wants to watch it live, you can do that. And then I think we just tapped Benny Hamlin to be on that one too with us. So yeah, we're just gonna draft comedy movies. So that should be fun. There's plenty to choose from. So
yeah, gotta get my draft board ready.
No shortage of those. So that'll be all right. And we'll eventually do an animated draft next month after the championship is over. So that'll be cool. And yeah, a couple of tournaments next week. We got the Nick Cage, Keanu Reeves with Paul Preston, Kevin Smets, and Adam Witt. So that's going to be a long episode, but luckily,
is that going to be like 5+ hours like that?
I'll try not to be, but those guys talk a lot. But luckily, only me and Jordan will have to suffer through that, so it's okay. Nobody else has to. It's just
Don't volunteer to run the bracket, just in case.
Well, I'm volunteering to run that. Well, I am running that bracket because I made that bracket. So yeah, I will have to be on there. But I can control things. I just didn't want to start at 10:30 the other night, so I went to bed, backing off to somebody else. So yeah, I didn't want to be a part of that. I will be hosting by myself next Friday night. We'll talk about that on affair. But yeah, so not much other than that. Got some stuff in the can, but it hasn't come out yet. Some Battleground stuff that's in the can, but isn't on air yet. There you go.
Yeah, and you can find me here. Yeah, it's your anchor tomorrow, 90s anime. That should be fun.
Mm-hmm.
Austin and I will be back next Saturday. Not this Saturday, but next Saturday with a podcast about movies, talking about remakes to kind of tie into The Little Mermaid. And who knows, maybe we'll both have seen it by then. So
I'll see it on Thursday, so I will have seen it. Yeah.
So
my Regal Unlimited, whatever's coming out that week, I'll go see it. Whatever. I saw Fast X, so I'll see that.
Yeah, so maybe a short little review of that as well. But yeah, other than that, Tournament Fights to your anchor, this show, podcast about movies. There's some other stuff in the works, so be sure to hit that bell, and you can know when we go live, because we want you to watch our stuff because we like doing it. So hey.
It's absurd that The Little Mermaid is only 5 minutes shorter than Fast X. That's pretty absurd.
You know what's longer than those?
It's insane.
You know what's longer than those? A horse whisperer.
Yeah, sure is. But I don't know how to take I just don't know how to take an 82-minute movie and turn it into 2.5.
A lot of songs.
That's stupid.
You stretch out songs.
Songs and backstory. Yeah.
You know what else is just as long? This episode of The Lonely Marks.
Oh yeah.
So for Jordan, for Richie, for Austin, I'm Jacob. Thank you for watching, and we will see you next time.